We are into the heart of district play now. Pivotal games every week across the state, determining playoff hopes. Tonight is no different, as two teams with eyes on a district championship square off in a crucial matchup in Frisco. Reedy and Lovejoy, Thursday Night Lights on the WFAA Digital Network, sponsored by Texas Health Resources. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Frisco. Mike Leslie joined by Taylor Williamson this week on Thursday Night Lights. And Taylor, we've got a good football game this evening. Two football teams in Frisco Reedy and Lucas Lovejoy that very much have their eyes set on district championships this year. It's a realistic goal for each of these two teams.
Yeah, Reedy and Lovejoy, both quality teams, both teams that were kind of, picked to be in the race for a district championship. And, we're in that second half of the season. We found week 6, so it's coming down to where every game becomes more and more important as we go on.
Absolutely. This game moved up because of weather to a 5:30 kickoff. You can already hear the wind starting to whip. We're hoping that thunderstorms and lightning stay off in the distance for the entirety of the evening, and we're able to get the entire football game in tonight, but moved up an hour and a half to make sure that happens tonight here at Memorial Stadium. The district standings in District 7 5A Division 2, very, very tight. Multiple teams with just one loss. All of these teams with an opportunity at a district title. All of them chasing, though, a surprise team in Frisco High at 4-0. The loser tonight, you think, maybe doesn't have a chance to win an outright district championship because 2 losses at this point of the season may already take you out of that mix.
That is true, especially, with how Frisco has played so far this year, and they've gotten a couple big district wins already over teams that they needed to beat. And, this game will go a long way to determine who is going to be one of the biggest competitors with Frisco for that district title. But I think either of these teams, even with a loss, still very good playoff chances. So while you obviously want to win, this isn't a do-or-die game.
Right. Both of these teams have hopes to be a playoff team, expect to be playoff teams, and frankly should be playoff teams. But there's work to be done to get out of District 7 5A Division 2. The matchup tonight, very much a Lovejoy offense, Reedy defense. To me, that's the biggest matchup to watch writ large, looking at both of these teams as a whole, and that very much dovetails into our players to watch this evening, Taylor. The quarterback for Lucas Lovejoy, RW Rucker, and the linebacker for Frisco Reedy, Will Harbour, both of them outstanding football players that will be going head-to-head this evening.
I'll tell you, the happiest I was this week was when we were trying to figure out if it was Ralph or RW, which he preferred to go by. You don't have enough RWs in this world anymore, so I was pleased as pie to see that. But yeah, he's a gamer. He could ball. He has 20 touchdowns already this year. I mean, he's a dual threat guy that Coach Ford was very excited about. But Will Harbour, the guy's no slouch. He's a great middle linebacker, never out of position. He kicks, he runs in short down situations. I mean, the guy does it all. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how those two, generals on each side of the ball function against one another.
Head coach Chad Cole says it all starts and ends with Will Harbour for Frisco Reedy. So certainly talent on both sides, and RW Rucker does everything for the offense for Lucas Lovejoy. Played safety last year, so he does a lot of things in a lot of different realms for this football team, and two talented kids to keep an eye on tonight. All right, let's get you our starters for this evening's football game. First, for the visiting Lovejoy Leopards on the offensive side of the ball, their quarterback, RW Rucker, of course, but the back in the backfield with him, Noah Nadeau, is actually his backup quarterback, but he's just too talented a kid to not put on the football field, so he's the starter at running back as well, a 4 wide receiver set. Harper Poole, the younger brother of a Lovejoy staple in the last several years, Bumper Poole, who went to play linebacker at Arkansas. On the defensive side for the Leopards, a 4-3 front, Austin King, the middle linebacker, 3-year starter on this unit. Philip Jost just coming back off of injury. Ryan Scott, a returning starter in the secondary, as is free safety Quinn McDermott. For Frisco Reedy on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Kitna, that's the son of Cowboys quarterbacks coach John Kitna, in his first year at Reedy after he moved in from Arizona with his father. A 3 wide receiver set, and the back in the backfield with him, sophomore Jacob Smith, has really been coming on in recent weeks. Defensively for Reedy, also a 4-3 set, and that's where you see Will Harbour right there in the middle. 63 tackles on the year, leads the team, 5 tackles for loss as well. Chad Cole said, there's nothing we've found that he cannot do. Michael Swope, the younger brother of Brandon Swope, who was the starter last year at that outside linebacker position, and Brooks Griffith leads the team with 7 hurries on the year. Peyton Beck with 5 sacks on the season to lead the way. Jack Pruitt and Darius Blackman, the 2 returning starters in the secondary. All Our head coaches this evening: for Lovejoy, Todd Ford in his fourth year, 20 and 18 in that span. For Reedy, head coach Chad Cole, also in his fourth year, 29 and 12, and led a Reedy team that was 13 and 1 a year ago, arguably the second best 5A Division II football team in the entire state. A big district win hangs in the balance tonight. Reedy and Lovejoy. Kickoff next on the WFAA Digital Network. Thursday Night Lights, sponsored by Texas Health Resources, live from Frisco Memorial Stadium. Our captains tonight: for Lovejoy, RW Rucker, Quinn McDermott, Tyler Beidelman, and Sean Sumners. For Reedy, Will Harbour, Jack Pruitt, Ethan Baker, and Nate Anderson. Lovejoy won the toss and deferred their choice to the second half, so Reedy will receive the opening kickoff here in just a matter of moments. Kickoff from Lovejoy will come from Tyler Loop, one of the best kickers in the entire country, the 15th ranked kicker in the nation. Taylor, obviously a very talented kid. He kicks it away to Reedy's Jalen Fuchsa and Cam Hardy, and we are underway from Memorial Stadium. Kickoff into the end zone, and Reedy will start from their own 25.
And talking about Loop, you mentioned him, he kicks for the touchback. You don't always see that from high schoolers, but just having a good kicker, a good puncher, that could be such an X factor, especially in big games like this.
So we get to see for the first time today Jalen Kitna, the quarterback for the Frisco Reedy Lions. Jacob Smith, the back in the backfield with him. Kitna, a 6'4 junior, already committed to Boston College. Talented kid, has 5 touchdown passes so far this year. And he had to kind of win the job in the offseason, Taylor, and even early on in this season from A.J. Padgett, a sophomore quarterback that's got a lot of talent as well. Reedy's loaded at the quarterback position, but Kitna wins the job, and on the first play of the football game, hands off to Jacob Smith, who picks up about 3, pushes his way forward, maybe 4 on the opening play of the game out to the 29.
And, Jacob Smith has been filling in for the injured Karsten Farragut, who, has been out the last couple games. Jacob only a sophomore, but he's made a big difference. 99 yards on 20 carries, 3 touchdowns last week. Already has over 300 yards for the season, but just a sophomore, so still a lot of room for, him to grow.
Second play is a handoff as well to Jacob Smith, this time cut down after a pickup of about 3, and it will be 3rd down and short for the Reedy Lions offense.
And you want to get the game started off with a strong tone, a nice long drive, get into score, and I think that's what Reedy's trying to do, is establish a little bit of a tone here on these first couple plays.
Picks up a couple on that carry. It's going to be 3rd down.
Reedy comes into this game 3-1 in district play.
Lovejoy 2-1. Both teams chasing Frisco High, who beat Reedy. That is their only loss so far this year in district play. Now they go to Will Harbour, and this time he's stacked up. That is something you will not see very often, is Will Harbour, number 2 for the Frisco Reedy Lions offense. He's a all-world linebacker on his way to Navy to play linebacker, but comes out in short yardage situations, and right there, stacked up for a loss. And that brings up 4th down for the Frisco Reedy offense.
But one thing you will see a lot of is Will Harbour, because he plays on defense, gets some plays in on offense, and he's their kicker as well. I mean, we talk about Austin Loop, who is a very talented kicker, but Harbour's no slouch. He does a little bit of it all, and he's made one from 45 yards out, which is no small feat.
The punt is away for Frisco Reedy, bounds inside the 25, inside the 20, and finally comes to rest at the 16. So for the first time today, we get to see RW Rucker, and on this side of the football, Taylors, is really where I think we're going to see maybe the best show this evening between the quarterback play of RW Rucker, the running ability of Noah Nadeau, 4 wide receivers on the outside that bring an awful lot to the table. Certainly Reed Westervelt and Luke Mayfield have filled it up from a And he's going to try and make something of this. Nowhere for him to go, though. Taken down for a loss of 4. And Reedy, again, with a 3rd and short failure. This time, the snap right through the hands, over the head of Will Harbour. And again, the Lions have to punt.
And Will Harbour's a good runner. He is a big guy. But there's no way he was getting past 6 Lovejoy Leopard defenders right there.
So back comes Ryan Jones to punt for Frisco Reedy. Luke Mayfield back to receive. A little bit of pressure, but he's able to get the punt away. This one's going to land short and bounce forward inside the 15-yard line. Checks up at the 13, and back comes RW Rucker and company for possession number 2 of the day. So far the defense is doing the job through the first 3 possessions that we've seen thus far, Taylor.
Yeah, and, Coach Cole was saying that defense is Reedy's strong suit, and it would really have to be in a game like this when you're going against such a high-powered offense like Lovejoy. They've obviously put up some very, very, potent scoring numbers these last few weeks, even in losses. They lost a triple overtime game to Denton Broswell. That score was in the 50s for both teams, so they can put up points.
So back comes Rucker in shotgun once again. 3 wide receiver set this time. Handoff goes up the middle for Noah Nadeau, the sophomore running back. Also the backup quarterback for this football team, but as their head coach Chad Cole said it to us earlier, I beg your pardon, Todd Ford, the head coach for Lovejoy, as he said it to us earlier this week, Nadeau just too talented a football player to not have him out on the field, and he's shown that so far this season. 367 rushing yards, second on the team, only to this young man, RW Rucker, trying to get loose on the left-hand side, taken down just across the 20-yard line. Jack Pruitt, the safety, scraping across to make the play.
And you talk about Coach Ford's philosophy of getting the best players on the field. I mean, that held true for RW Rucker last year. He was the starting safety. He was a newcomer of the year, as a sophomore. And when he moved up to a junior, they needed a new quarterback, and he was the guy who they have.
Handoff goes to Nadeau, trying to get the corner. He's going to have that. He's got the first down and a good deal more. Ducks out of bounds just across the 30. And if I'm remembering correctly, the first 6 minutes of this football game, I think that's the first down we've seen so far tonight.
It has not been an offensive showcase just yet, but that is our first down of the evening.
Out to the 32 comes the Lovejoy offense. Fresh set of downs for RW Rucker and company. 3 wides to the far-hand side, but they hand it off to Nadeau, and Nadeau again with running room across the 40. Very close to a first down.
Yeah, looks like they're going to give it to him. And that's good, solid running. He's getting some good blocks downfield. I saw Reed Westervelt. He was hustling to get Noah some extra yards right there.
So again, a fresh set of downs, and they do again up the middle. This time a pickup of about 2 out to the 44. This is a Lovejoy program. You mentioned it. They're young, but their head coach Todd Ford calls them a seasoned young football team. Players that can definitely make an impact. Young kids. I mean, RW Rucker's only a junior. Nadeau, just a senior. Luke Mayfield with 7 touchdown receptions this year, only a junior. Reed Westervelt, their other stud wide receiver, who's put up an awful lot of numbers this year, as this time it is in the hands of Westervelt, and that's going to be yet another first down. Westervelt, also a junior. Lots of youth in this program, but kids that can make plays and kids that have come up through the system playing in big games at smaller levels that understand what they need to do out on the football field, and that's shown through this 3-2 start for the Lovejoy Leopards. And they do with the carry here once again and a pickup of about 5 on first down. They're just kind of chunking their way down the football field, and that's something that Chad Cole mentioned this week, that he understands this offense is very good at just they're able to execute play after play after play and just chunk their way down the football field on you.
And, I mean, he also said his defense is about guys not trying to do too much, guys staying in their gaps, and, guys just making tackles. And I think if they stick to that, that's something that'll work. But, Lovejoy's going down the field getting a lot of, 5-6 yard plays. And if they could keep doing that, I think Coach Ford will take that any day of the week.
Rucker lowering his shoulder through the chest of safety Jack Pruitt to pick up yet another first down, and already Lovejoy in field goal range. They have one of the best kickers in the country. I mentioned that earlier, Tyler Loop, 15th ranked kicker in the nation on his way to Arizona. They're already in his range. Anything inside of 50, they will kick it. And he told us earlier today that in practice he's hit as far as 73. That ball knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Nice job to get his hands up in the air and into the passing lane. Ryan Aykroyd knocking it down.
Is it selfish that I would like to at some point see Lovejoy get stopped at about the 33, 34-yard line just so I could see him step out there and try a 50-yarder?
I wouldn't call that selfish. I understand wanting to see something like that in person, especially from a high school kid. And they do with the handoff, spinning his way into a couple of tacklers and a pickup of 5 on first down yet again.
And, I mean, with Noah Nadeau, I don't think you could say enough of...
Beg your pardon, that was second down. Now third down and 6 forthcoming.
He is a guy who they want to have on the field, who quarterback by trade. They're having him as a running back. He's just a sophomore. I mean, I think that says a lot about what Coach Ford thinks about his ability and what he can do on the field.
Third down and 6 for Rucker. 3 wides to the near side. Looks that way. Pressure from behind. Flushed forward, evades one, and somehow he escaped. Rucker dances to the inside. He's close to a first down. He's got it. RW Rucker putting on a show and picking up a first down on 3rd and 6.
And I think that's something that we all knew we were going to see. I mean, I don't know how many times it'll happen, but he got free and he made some guys miss. And that's some of the elusivity that, or elusiveness, I should say. I just made up a word. That, makes him so dangerous not only as a passer but as a runner as well.
So inside the red zone goes RW Rucker and company, and he's going to keep it on this one as well. Breaks a tackle. He's across the 15, close to the 10-yard line, and that may be yet another first down run by RW Rucker. Very close to the sticks. Maybe he'll be short by about half a yard, so second and short forthcoming here. Again, it's Nadeau in the backfield with him. This time Nadeau gets the handoff, and he'll have the first down. Not much more, but it will be 1st and goal for Lovejoy.
And this first quarter, I don't know if you've noticed, it's going by pretty quickly. I feel like we've had about 75% run plays in the first period. And, for Lovejoy, right now it's working, so I don't see any reason for them to go away from it anytime soon.
1st and goal for Rucker. Again, they'll work out a shotgun pretty much all night long. Handoff to Nadeau inside the 5, down to the 3.
And, this is a Reedy defensive line that, is almost completely new this year from last year. And, it seems like from what Coach was saying about them, they've affected themselves pretty well. But they're certainly having a hard time slowing down this backfield tandem at the moment.
Bit by bit by bit, Lovejoy has worked their way down the field, and now 2nd down and goal from the 3 for RW Rucker. Nadeau to his left. Rucker keeps it. Pulls his way into a massive humanity and maybe got to the 2.
And, Rucker, a very physical quarterback, and it should be no surprise that he is a multi-sport guy, also plays baseball, is a big-time wrestler, so, he's not afraid to mix it up.
He wants the snap quick here on 3rd down and goal. Handoff up the middle. Pulling his way forward. Is he in? Austin King, their short yardage back. He's short. Half a yard short, and it will be 4th and goal from about the 1-foot line. And RW Rucker and company staying on the football field. Lovejoy going forward on 4th and goal. 1 minute to play first quarter, and already a big moment for these two football teams. Rucker's going to keep it himself. Touchdown, Lovejoy.
That was beautiful. Just how you want to draw it up for a 4th and 1 play, and Lovejoy gets in, and they have now eclipsed their point total from last year's game. So, I mean, if nothing else, that's a huge positive that they're off to such a good start. And with almost 1 quarter gone by, they've at least on that last drive, they really looked the part of a smash-mouth offensive team. And you run 4 wide, that's not always what you expect, but they certainly looked very good on that drive.
Tyler Loop on for the extra point out of the hold of Harper Poole. Flag flies as the kick sails through the uprights.
I think they got him for offsides.
They did indeed, so the extra point will stand 7-0 Lovejoy as we've hit the final minute of quarter number 1 here on Thursday Night Lights. RW Rucker running it in from a yard away, from about a foot away on 4th down and goal. Lovejoy electing to go for it, and they find the end zone first tonight.
It took us about half a quarter to get the offense cooking, but I mean that, as I said, a very impressive drive, and I mean mostly done with runs of about 5, 6, 7 yards by Noah Nadeau and RW Rucker. And if it's not broke, don't fix it, and they definitely did not need to fix it on that drive.
So now an opportunity for Jalen Kitna and company to try and respond here. This is a Reedy team that, and we mentioned it in the open, Taylor, arguably the second best 5A Division II football team in the entire state a year ago. Lost to eventual state champion Aledo, as did Lovejoy, by the way, in the playoffs. Both of these teams knocked out by Aledo a year ago as the kickoff.
Not big Aledo fans.
From Tyler Poole. Neither of the fan bases. Nobody watching right now is a big fan of Aledo, right, after the way their seasons ended a year ago at the hands of that football team. But this Frisco Reedy team, different team than the group that's on the field right now, I will grant you. But Frisco Reedy last year was really the only team in the state that gave the Aledo Bearcats any sort of challenge. 26-16, the final score that day in the state quarterfinals in 5A Division II. They were the only team to get within 10 points of Aledo. Most teams that Aledo played last year lost by 30, 40, 50, 60 points. Even the state semifinals and state finals after Reedy had been knocked out were games that were decided by 40-plus points. The only team that was closer than 34, which was the margin that Lovejoy lost by in their matchup with Aledo in the playoffs, was South Oak Cliff, who lost by 14. Mm-hmm. But Aledo just obliterated everyone last year except for Frisco Reedy. They were very realistically the second best 5A Division II team in the entire state, 13-0 until they met Aledo in that state quarterfinal. So this is a very good team, but that is replacing 17 starters from that football team a year ago. So a lot of kids that are being thrust into bigger roles this year as the handoff to Jacob Smith. One of those kids, a sophomore running back that is stepping up into a much bigger role this year. He picks up about 3 on the play, and it'll be 3rd down, and we'll call it 5 as the first quarter clock ticks to a close here. It looks like that will be the final play of the opening quarter as Jalen Kitna and company will play 3rd and 5 in the second quarter. And,
you talk about Frisco Reedy and what they were able to do last year and how many guys they lost, but you have to remember that was that one year that you get where your first class of kids have become seniors. That was the first senior class at Frisco Reedy High School. So, I mean, that's always a special time that you really only get once as a coach at any given school. So it was some guys who, Coach Cole had really molded in the program and who had, made a big difference and obviously had a terrific season.
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a completely different football team, though. I mean, you mentioned it, the kids that they lost off of last year's football team, Josh Foskey, their quarterback, now it's Stephen F. Austin, Isaiah Floyd, and Isaiah Floyd and Bennett Mecom, the wide receiver, both of them now at Rice. Michael Farrar is the running back, is at Merrimack playing lacrosse. I mean, all these kids that were huge pieces of last year's football team that was so good at the state level, they're all gone. Now, they do have talent back Don't get me wrong. They've got a lot of talent back on this football team. Jalen Kitna transfers in. Jacob Smith, a sophomore, is having a lot of success at the running back position this year. Karsten Farragut, number 17, a young man who's hurt tonight and isn't playing, but has had a very nice start to the year. There's a lot of talent still left over for Frisco Reedy, and they've gotten off to this 4-2 start, 3-1 in district play. They're still very much a contender in District 7-5A Division II, but
it's just different.
Yes, no doubt. It's going to be Will Harbour, and he's going to try and throw it. Harbour on the fake, and he takes it upfield, and he's got Jacob Smith open. Smith inside the 30 and pushed out of bounds inside the 20. A flag flies in on top of it all. Will Harbour, usually the short yardage Wildcat quarterback, usually the guy that is 4 yards in a cloud of dust for this football team, throws it to Jacob Smith. And it's a huge pickup inside the 20, and the flag is only going to bring them closer, inside the 10 probably after half the distance to the goal here.
And you won't mistake him for Dan Marino with that throw right there, but he got the ball where it needed to be, and he got it while Jacob Smith was still moving. And now, when he's at Navy and runs a short yardage down that he passes on, we could say, whenever they yell, he was a quarterback in high school, we could say, no, he was a middle linebacker, but we saw him throw a pass.
So it'll be 1st and goal inside the 10, and Harbour stays out there. Jalen Kitna, the starting quarterback for this Reedy football team, but Will Harbour comes in the Wildcat quarterback situations, and they're going to do that once again here. This time he will run it. He's got a lot of lead blockers in front of him, dives toward the pylon, knocked out of bounds just shy. They'll call it the 2-yard line, and it'll be 2nd and goal.
And this Frisco Reedy offensive line is talented, especially the right tackle Nate Anderson, 4-star commit. We haven't really talked about him, but he's headed to OU and he's rated as the number 1. He projects as a guard at the collegiate level, but they have him playing right tackle, and he talent-wise is probably the class of what we have on this field. The guy is
I think it's fair to say
on
that
the offensive line.
Will they run behind him as Kitna's back out there on 2nd down and goal? They do, right up the middle, touchdown Jacob Smith. And Reedy's got the answer.
And that just a lot of runs by Reedy too. You get the 45, 50 yards on the halfback pass, and then a couple quick runs, and you're there. I mean, this game's just cooking along. We haven't seen a lot of aerial fireworks just yet, but I wouldn't say that that'll be the case for the rest of it.
Harbour comes out. He's the kicker as well. We mentioned it in the open. He does just about everything for this football team. Very good as a kicker, by the way, too. Has hit from 45 this year. 6 of 6 on field goals. Now 20 of 21 on the season on PATs. He's one of the leading scorers in the entire area because of his ability to get into the end zone in short yardage situations, and then also his kicking in addition to that. And he knots this game up at 7 points apiece. Just a little under a minute into quarter number 2 here on Thursday Night Lights. It's been an eventful evening, unfortunately, from a technical perspective, but we do appreciate you guys kind of bearing with us, and a shout-out to our technical crew for fighting through, as I saw in the Facebook comments, somebody called them gremlins. Yeah, that's fair to say. We were dealing with a little bit of that tonight, but from what I'm to understand, I think we've got everything.
Technical crew gremlins. I was about to say, that's not very nice.
But I think that we may have everything situated now, which is good news. So please, if you don't mind, hit that share button and let your friends and family know that they too can tune in and enjoy the football game between two very good football teams that are knotted up at 7 points apiece here early on in quarter number 2. Knowing to do here on the kickoff return. Gets across the 15 and strung out just across the 20, maybe the 22. And that's where the Lovejoy offense will get started.
Here was something that I was noticing that looks like it's remedied itself. At least one of the bands is finally arriving. That's something that I've noticed, is that neither of the bands were here for the start of kickoff. So it's had a little bit of a different vibe without the back and forth fight songs and the soothing sounds of the Reedy and Lovejoy bands, respectively.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for RW Rucker and the Lovejoy offense from their own 21 is where we'll call it. 4 wide receiver set, as is the usual for this Leopards offense. Rucker had to make a man miss in the backfield just to get back across the line of scrimmage. Picks up about 2 on first down.
And we're already seeing a lot of that. I mean, even though it's just a couple of yards, if he doesn't make that first guy miss, he's going to be dropped in the backfield for about a 4-yard loss. So it's just so hard to express how valuable that agility that he has in the backfield is.
Rucker with Nadeau in the backfield with him. Reedy's not a team that you're going to see show an awful lot of stunts, twists, anything. They just line up and play defense. By contrast, Lovejoy's the exact opposite. When Frisco Reedy's out on the football field, the Lovejoy defense, you'll see them. They are a 4-down lineman team, but they sometimes shift to 3-down linemen. They've got one guy that will sometimes put his hand in the dirt, sometimes he doesn't. They like to... a lot of smoke and mirrors to try and confuse the offense from the Lovejoy defense. Reedy's very different. They line up in their 4-3 set. They let Will Harbour handle an awful lot of in terms of making the calls, but also in terms of just diagnosing what the offense is doing, and he runs to the football and makes plays. So it's very different styles on the defensive side of the football. Rucker on third down has his pass knocked to the ground. Good job to get his hands up into the passing lane. I think that was Darius Blackman coming on a corner blitz off the left-hand side. Beg your pardon, it was Brooks Griffith, 24, not 21, coming off the left edge. Got his hands up into the passing lane and forces the punt.
Well, and I mean, you talk about Reedy working hard to just, keep to their assignments, not anything flashy, and that's kind of the MO for, Will Harbour, who... That's how he's described as the guy who's always where he needs to be. He's not going to be caught out of position much. And if you play that way, if everyone is in position, then you're going to succeed as a defense.
Punt is away. Bounces inside the 40 and bounces out of bounds. Officials still walking to the 37-yard line is where he'll mark it. And back comes the Reedy offense, and will it be Jalen Kidna? Will it be Will Harbour? We'll see who comes out and plays quarterback on this possession. I don't mean to act like Jalen Kidna is no longer the quarterback. That's not what's happening here, but they're mixing things up a little bit more than maybe we expected them to coming in, but Kidna does indeed come out for the first play of this series.
And for you folks at home, here's a brief stat check. Jalen Kidna, 0 of 1 for 0 yards. Will Harbour, 1 of 1 for 52 yards. So that's that's the book on the passing offense for Reedy so far.
Little razzle-dazzle here on the reverse for Jalen Fuchsa trying to get the corner. Well read and defended by Lovejoy. They cut that one down very quickly. Adam Eschler stayed home on that side, the cornerback on the far side. They're able to pick up 4 on the play, so it's an effective play for Reedy, but you run a reverse like that, you maybe expect to pick up more than 4. Good job by this Lovejoy defense to stay home.
Sure, especially with a guy like Fuchsa who, has a lot of speed, a lot of quickness, kind of, new to the varsity level, but he's certainly a weapon in that sense.
2nd down and 6, and Kidna's going to run it this time, has his legs cut out from underneath him by Austin King as he got close to the 45.
And we haven't talked much about Austin King yet, but he's a 3-year starter, played at outside linebackers, moved inside this year, but he's in the same way that Will Harbour's kind of a leader on the Reedy defense. You get the same kind of vibe from Austin King, especially when you talk to Coach Ford about their defense.
He's, as you mentioned, played outside linebacker in the past. He's technically the starter at middle linebacker for this football team, but they will move him around the defense. He's part of the variation that you see, and you're actually seeing it right now as the defensive line was shifting in the middle of that. Reedy calls timeout before this 3rd down and 2 snap, so we'll stop down here for a moment. 8:29 to play, second quarter. 7-7 our score between Lovejoy and Frisco Reedy, but you saw a little bit of it just a moment ago. The multiple nature of this Lovejoy defense and the way they try to confuse the offensive line with the different shifts and movement and different fronts that they see. They try to confuse the quarterback with different coverages. They are definitely moving around a lot before the snap to try and disrupt what the offense is doing.
Which, again, I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but, Reedy's the type of team that does their assignment, stays at home, not a whole lot of razzle-dazzle, which works. But, if you could confuse, the offense with some movement, not knowing where the guys are coming from and all that, I mean, that works just as well, too. It's just a matter of execution with both styles of play.
Reedy back on the football field for 3rd down and 2, and it's Harbour out on the football field to play Wildcat quarterback once again. Three running backs in the backfield with him to the right, and they're going to be all lead blockers for him. He tries to cut back, and he puts the football on the deck. Lovejoy football. Will Harbour tried to cut back against the grain, lost the football, and Lovejoy comes on top of it.
And boy, they were right to the ball, weren't they, when that thing popped out.
Dylan McGee, the sophomore linebacker, scooping up the loose ball.
It looked like
it bounces right into his hands.
And it looked like I couldn't really tell if Harbour was trying to change which arm he was carrying the ball in or what, but there was some movement there. It looked like it was going to the middle, then just popped free. It didn't look like it was necessarily, punched out or anything like that, but kind of hard to tell.
So back comes RW Rucker and company trying to capitalize on the turnover. Rucker flushed out of the pocket, fires down the right sideline. That ball is caught inbounds. Leighton Archer toe tapping on the sideline. Officials still conferring. Yes, it's a catch. 1st down.
Leighton Archer, the recipient of some good genetics. Coach said he'd grown 4 to 5 inches in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Now talk about a growth spurt.
Now stands 6'2", 180 pounds, and he said that's made a big difference for him in sports, obviously, because he's seen his role increase with that growth spurt. This time they do taken down from behind. Jack Jamison coming off the left edge to take him for a loss. That actually ties Jamison for the team lead in tackles for loss. Will Harbour came in with the lead in that category with 5. That is Jamison's 5th now of the year, so he matches Harbour for the team lead for tackles for loss. 2nd down and 11 for Rucker. Has all day, looks deep down the right sideline. That's got to be a flag, and indeed it will be. Reed Westervelt was behind the defense and caught a bear hug.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Throws his hands up, lets the ref know. I'm pretty sure the ref knew already there.
You saw the jersey of Westervelt stretch in the grasp of, I believe that was Darius Blackman, up that far sideline. Beg your pardon, Cam Hardy, the corner on that side, whistled for the very obvious hold. And
Westervelt's a basketball player for them, explosive, good with the jump ball. So yeah, you kind of don't want to let him beat you into the end zone on a rise. that may have been a little bit necessary right there.
So 1st and 10 for Rucker at the 13. He's got 2 wides to the near side. And they do in the backfield with him, and he puts the football on the deck. It bounces right back to Rucker, and he's going to be swallowed up for a loss of 3. Rucker very fortunate that ball bounced right back into his grasp.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to have a little luck on your side. That bounced right off of the back of Parker Braithwaite and right back into the hands of RW Rucker. So, sometimes it's all about where you are at the right time.
2nd down and 12 now. 7 minutes to go, 2nd quarter here on Thursday Night Lights. Mike Leslie and Taylor Williamson here with you from Frisco Memorial Stadium. Rucker at a shotgun, looking deep down that right sideline again for Westervelt. Jump ball tipped, nearly intercepted. Falls harmlessly incomplete, threw into double coverage there and nearly paid for it.
That was some pretty tight coverage out there by Cam Hardy. He was with him step for step. Maybe a little contact there. They didn't call it. No harm, no foul. But I thought that was some just pretty good coverage from Cam Hardy.
Yeah, no, that to me was very good coverage. Turned, played the ball very nicely, and nearly tipped it to his free safety Ryan Jones coming over the top to help him. Now 3rd and 12.
You can't blame Rucker for going to Westervelt. That's
He's got 8 touchdown receptions this year, had 3 last week alone. 4 catches, 101 yards, and 3 touchdowns last week, so he can certainly fill it up.
That seems good.
Timeout, Leopard.
Timeout called by Lovejoy, their first timeout of the half. Both teams with 2 remaining for the final 6:46 of this 2nd quarter. See some comments here on the Facebook feed. Watching from Greenville, says James Robinson, says he loves high school football. James, let us know if you're are you a fan of one of these two teams, or are you just watching in general? Val Tebow says, way to go Leopards. Greg Butts says his son is here at the game right now watching his teammates. Doctor said the cast comes off in 4 weeks. I'm not sure who his son is, referencing perhaps a player that's injured on the team. I'm not entirely sure. If you are watching on Facebook, please drop a note in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're tuning in to see. We get an awful lot of comments every week from fans that say they're watching from places all over the country, California, New York, Ohio, whatever the case may be, tuning in to see their grandson or their nephew or whatever the connection may be to one of these programs. So let us know where you're watching from and who you're tuning in to see tonight. Just drop it in the Facebook comments and we'll try to get to that.
And Dad, if Mom helped you set it up on your app, hello.
Hello to the Williamson family. Yes, indeed. 3rd down and 13 now as Rucker and company back out on the football field from the 16 in Frisco Reedy territory. Rucker still looking to the sideline for directions from the coaching staff. Has all day, flush to the right-hand side, now fires downfield into the end zone, touchdown. Reed Westervelt open at the pylon, touchdown Leopards.
9th touchdown on the season for Westervelt, and yeah, that is a weapon that RW Rucker will probably go back to again and probably shouldn't be afraid to. He's obviously a threat to get open. I think he at least tried to go to him and on 3 times on that drive and successfully hooked up with him twice.
So 13-7 our tally at the moment, 6:39 to play, second quarter. As on comes Tyler Loop for the extra point. He bangs that up and through, and it's 14-7, Lovejoy in front. We mentioned it a little while ago. This game last year was a 51-0 Frisco Reedy win. Again, 2 very different football teams a year ago as compared to who they are now. But we heard some fire from this Lovejoy football team this afternoon when they first came out on the field. And there was, I'm not entirely sure which one of their leaders it was that was saying this, but you could hear it clear across the field. There were Reedy players out there at the time. They didn't seem to mind in any way, shape, or form that Reedy heard them saying this, and you could hear it as clear as day. Last year, the basic premise of the message, anyway. I don't want to act like I'm quoting directly because I'm not sure that I remember the exact verbiage. But the basic premise of the message was last year doesn't matter, and they lost everyone. Was the one that was one thing I do remember was explicitly said. They lost everyone, talking about Frisco Reedy, and while, as we've mentioned before, as we've documented, there is a lot of talent back on this Reedy football team. There's no question of that. By the same token, they did lose 17 starters out of 22, 11 on offense, 11 on defense. Of those 22, 17 fresh new starters this year for this Reedy football team, replaced from last year's team. And this Lovejoy team certainly felt like they could come out and play with Reedy and win this football game. And here we are a quarter and a half in, and Lovejoy's got a 14-7 lead.
But, even though they've got new players, they've affected themselves very well so far this year, only taking the loss to undefeated Frisco, who, the Raccoons have had a heck of a year so far, and the Colony, who's also a fantastic football team this year. So both of their losses have not – they've been to very high quality.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And this is a team that still very much has eyes on winning a district championship this year. They need to win out, and they need a little bit of help with Frisco High having a loss as the snap momentarily went through the hands of Jalen Kitten, and he just fires it out of bounds. I think he was just trying to kind of hit the reset button and live to fight another down.
Yes, I would agree, but I mean that looked like a timing route. He almost had his receiver out there, turned around just at the right time, but he was a little bit wide with the throw.
So 2nd and 10 now for Jalen Kitten and company. Daryl Smith says hello from Dallas, Texas, not too far afield. Jill Decker says watching from Union, Nebraska.
All right.
Her grandson Tyler Beidelman on this Lovejoy football team. Handoff up the middle in the hands of the sophomore running back Jacob Smith, and he's taken down. He skirted free of the pile eventually, but long after they had blown the whistle and ended the play. So it'll be 3rd down and 9 after a pickup of 1. Val Tebow says, hello from Leopard Nation. Lori Harper Poole says, let's go Harper. Talking about her son, her grandson, Harper Poole, says, love Grammy. That's the grandmother of Harper Poole and Bumper Poole, the young man who played linebacker here at Lovejoy until 2018 and is now at Arkansas. Kate Kitten on 3rd down and long, and he's flushed forward in the pocket, and he's going to be taken down for a sack. Helmet came off, and they'll blow the play dead immediately with that. He maybe was able to fight his way back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll be 4th and 9. Maybe it won't officially go down as a sack.
The Leopards' defense has done a really good job of,
swarming,
getting after it, especially on this drive. Although if they hadn't blown that play dead, Jacob Smith, I don't think he was ever down. They just blew him dead on forward progress, and he just kept on running. You got to do that.
So 4th and 9, and Reedy will have to punt here midway through quarter number 2. Luke Mayfield back to receive for Lovejoy. Punt angled away from him, but it bounces right into his hands at the 23-yard line. Hit late out of bounds, and that will be a flag. No question about that one.
Yep, a little too eager by the kick coverage team right there. And I know my expertise is sports and not weather, but, we do have some storms moving in, or that are supposed to move in this evening, but best I can tell, things don't look too dicey just yet.
Knock on wood.
That sound that you hear is me knocking on wood.
Stay that way. This game moved up an hour and a half.
Well, and kudos to the administrations on both sides for having the foresight to, move it up, even though it is a little more difficult, logistically. The last thing you want to do is sit through 2 hours of rain delays.
Right.
I have some great stories that could fill up those 2 hours, but we'll save those for another time.
We'd rather not be putting on rain delay theater here on Thursday Night Lights. We'd prefer to bring you some football action, which is what we've got thanks to that decision to move kickoff up to 5:30 this evening. So now after the penalty, all the way out to the 46-yard line is where RW Rucker and company start this possession. Already up 14-7. Rucker with the cutback. All of that picks up about 3. Good fight to turn what probably should have been a play that went for no gain into at least a few yards.
Rucker's not a big fan of the ground. It's like he doesn't want to get tackled. He wants to stay up. He's already got 32 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and they've already run it with him 9 times, which, I'd like to act surprised, but that'd be pretty disingenuous because I'm not surprised by that at all.
It's what he does. It's certainly a big part of what he does anyway, replacing Carson Collins as the starter from a year ago. They do with the handoff here on 2nd down and 8, and this one's strung out very well by the Reedy defense. Good pursuit by that entire front 7, and no surprise, Will Harbour leading the charge into that pile, and it'll be 3rd and 7.
And you talk about Carson Collins, who RW Rucker is replacing. That's no easy task. Carson Collins, he's now playing at Tulsa, threw for almost 3,000 yards last year, 25 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. I mean, those are big shoes to fill, but Rucker, especially moving from the other side of the ball, has certainly seemed up to the challenge so far this year.
Nadeau on the reverse. It's going to be a reverse flea flicker. Downfield, Rucker's got Nadeau. He's wide open. Nadeau behind the defense and finally steps out of bounds inside the 15.
Okay, so, Reedy had their trick play with Harbour hooking up for a big gain, and now it's the flea flicker by Lovejoy. I mean, I like it. I love it. That and 50-yard kicks. If that was all the game was, I'd be very happy.
Credit to Will Harbour to be anywhere in the ballpark on that play to at least keep it from being a touchdown. Now the handoff up the middle goes for maybe a yard in the hands of Will Hanna. Under 4 to play, second quarter, 14-7. Lovejoy on top and looking to add to that lead.
And, Lovejoy has a veritable stable of running backs who can kind of, relieve Nadeau if they're trying to do something a little bit different or if he just gets tired. I mean, they have a lot of capable guys back there.
2nd and 9 for Rucker from the 13. Officially, we'll call it the 12-yard line. Rucker's going to keep it himself off the read option and taken down at the 10. Well defended. by Ryan Jones. The safety scraping down over the top to make the play, and a short pickup, 3rd down now.
It'll be interesting to see if they decide to go back to the air or stay on the ground here. I mean, they've had so much success with Rucker, and they do, out of the backfield, but never a bad idea to find Reed Westervelt in the end zone, if at all possible.
3rd down and 6. Rucker's got 2 wides to the near side. Harper Poole at the top of the formation. Beg your pardon, I believe that's Westervelt. Nadeau in the backfield with him. Hands off to Nadeau, and Nadeau is swallowed up, hit hard by Jack Pruitt. And it's going to be 4th down, and here comes the kicking unit.
Jack Pruitt playing the run very well from the safety spot. I know he was one of the returning starters from this Reedy team, one of the few, but he's been a big catalyst for the good things that have happened in the defensive backfield for the Lions.
Just a little over 2 minutes to play here, 2nd quarter, and here comes Tyler Loop for the 25-yard field goal. Certainly well within his range. High snap, and Poole's going to have to break off and try and throw for it. Harper Poole makes the decision to try and throw for it. He's got it in his left hand. Can he get the 1st down? Throws into the end zone, and it's dropped incomplete.
I'm also pretty sure may have been past the line of scrimmage right there.
He may well have been. He had Cohen Nunn open in the end zone, and it falls incomplete. There is a flag down at the 3-yard line. Also a flag down on the far side at the 9-yard line, very close to the line of scrimmage marker. And indeed, the penalty is against Lovejoy. That will be declined, and it will be Frisco Reedy football. Harper Poole, almost made something of that. High snap, had to bring it down and try and create a miracle, and very nearly did so. But instead, it falls incomplete, and again, it would have ultimately not count anyway, even if Cohen Nunn had been able to haul it in. And it all ends up back in the possession of Frisco Reedy at their own 7-yard line.
Well, and he had it. It certainly seemed like he had a couple options there. He had a wide receiver who was running down looking for a pass, but he didn't realize that he was the last guy who could have thrown a block there. And Bumper Poole, I just love that name so much.
It is a great name.
Harper Poole might have been able to use his legs, but you can't fault the receiver or anyone. You got to actually compliment everyone for making as much out of that play as they did.
Kitna's pass there on 1st down fell incomplete, a little bit wide of its intended target, so it'll be 2nd down and 10 from their own 7. 1:41, 2nd quarter. An opportunity here for Reedy to perhaps go down the football field and tie the game if they can be quick with it here. Kitna over the middle, complete. 1st down and then some, right into Zion Washington's hands, and 1st down and quite a bit more out to the 32.
Zion Washington is a guy who plays tight end, but is a wide receiver by trade, so he can do a little bit of both.
Fresh set of downs now for Kitna and company. 1:24 to play. They set up the screen. It's Washington, and Washington's got a lot of blockers out in front. Cross the 50. He's still got blockers. Washington inside the 30 and finally out of bounds. The tight end screen works to perfection for Reedy inside the 30.
So I was going to ask right at the beginning of the drive if this would be the drive where Reedy, and especially Kitna, got something going through the air, and boy, did they answer my question before I even asked it. So, good job, Lions.
2 passes, both of them to Zion Washington, and just like that, inside the 30-yard line and threatening are the Lions. Deep up the left side and complete once again. Knocked out of bounds inside the 15-yard line is Jalen Fuchsa, and they hustle back to the line once again.
We've had, about 75 yards in about 45 seconds? That's certainly what it seems like.
Maybe even less than that. 1:08 on the clock here, 2nd quarter. 2 passes to Zion Washington. 1 up that left side just a moment ago to Jalen Fuchsa, and it's 1st and goal. 3 wides to the near side. They're going to look to the far side, though. Into the hands of Jacob Smith, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 5. Adam Eschler there to escort him out of bounds.
And at the beginning of this drive, Reedy only had 1 first down. on the game so far. It was on that long pass from Harbour, and then they scored almost immediately after. And now they have 4, so I would venture to say this is probably their most conventionally effective drive so far.
Without a doubt. Second down and goal now, 1:02 on the clock here, second quarter. They have 2 timeouts remaining, so at this point, time is not a concern for the Lions offense. 2 wides to either side. Jacob Smith in the backfield with Jalen Kitna. Motion across the formation, and Kitna will roll near side. Fires into the end zone, knocked away at the last second. Diving across was Philip Jost.
That was good effort by the receiver, but also great effort by the defenders right there. 2 guys in the area, one kind of, was on the coverage, and the other, as you said, Jost kind of got in there at the last second to jostle up that whole thing.
Ryan Scott there in coverage as well. Reedy will call timeout here, 57 seconds on the clock, first half. Third down and goal from the 6 forthcoming, and this is an opportunity for Reedy where it was only moments ago Lovejoy was driving down the football field, threatening to perhaps score a touchdown and go up 21-7, setting up for a field goal to what you thought was assuredly go up 17-7. Snap is high. Harper Poole tried to make something of it, but ultimately wasn't able to. So it stays 14-7, and now here's Reedy with an opportunity to tie the football game before halftime. A serious swing of momentum and potentially of score over the course of these final 3 minutes of the second quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so much of the game of football comes down to execution. And with Lovejoy there, they couldn't execute the snap and the hold, and Reedy has certainly taken advantage. Now, you don't want to get too crazy here. It is 3rd and 6. You don't want to give up the ball. You want to be sure that you at least get 3 points out of this drive. I know Coach Cole's thinking 7, but this game hasn't featured a whole lot of point scoring just yet. So I think anything that you can get on this trip down here is very valuable.
57 seconds, the time on the clock here in the second quarter as Jalen Kitna and company come back out on the football field. 14-7 our score here. RW Rucker with a rushing score and a passing score to Reed Westervelt for Lovejoy. Jacob Smith with a 2-yard rushing touchdown for Reedy. That's our scoring so far this evening. But Reedy's trying to add to that here on 3rd and goal. Kitna passes left-hand side, diving, incomplete. In and out of the hands and harmlessly incomplete, trying to find his open man on the left-hand side. Josh Barber had a chance at it, was not able to haul it in, and Reedy's going to have to settle for a field goal here.
And I know it didn't go exactly how they wanted it to, but Lovejoy brought some pressure there, and I saw, the sophomore Jacob Smith, the running back, step up, make a big block as a running back, and that's got to hearten you to see if you're Chad Cole.
So here comes Will Harbour for the 23-yard field goal. And it's up and through. And it's 14-10 now our score with 47 seconds to play in quarter number 2.
He really does it all. I know he does the team's laundry and drives the bus as well. So Will Harbour pretty much the most integral part of this team for a variety of reasons.
The Frisco Reedy with a strong finish to this half. In some ways getting fortunate with the high snap, and Harper Poole not quite able to turn that into a first down. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming that on Harper Poole, but just, he was the one who ended up with the football in his hands, did an awful lot with it, but not quite able to convert the first down and give them a fresh set of downs. So ball went back to Reedy. No points put on the board at that point by Lucas Lovejoy, so it stays 14-7, and then down the field comes Reedy. They get 3 here right before the half, and it certainly changes the tenor. I mean, it could have been 21-7 theoretically, certainly could have been 17-7. Instead, 14-10 now the tally with 47 seconds to play in quarter number 2. Much different football game than it could have felt like 3-4 minutes ago.
Absolutely, and I mean, so much of this game is, I talked about execution, but also just being able to win the turnover battle. That makes all the difference.
Kickoff is up that left sideline and will not go out of bounds. They were trying to let it go out of bounds, and that nearly cost this Lucas Lovejoy return team. Trying to let it bounce out of bounds was Lovejoy's Dylan McGee, and it just wouldn't cooperate with him.
Well, if you want to talk about topicality, I think you and me both remember the SMU. They were trying to let it go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Last week, Tulsa just dove on the ball, and it was an onside kick touchdown that ended up at the 2-yard line where they picked it up. So You would obviously like to start out with better field position, but props to him for realizing that it was time to snatch the ball and try to make something happen.
He at least played it better than SMU did.
Yes.
We will give him that much credit because he certainly was at least smart enough to pick up the football when he realized it wasn't going to go out of bounds. So Rucker and company out there for the final moments of this first half, handoff to Noah Nadeau, and if Lovejoy wants it to be, that can be the final play of half number one.
I was about to say, it looks like they may just be happy to go to the locker room with the 14-10 lead after a good defensive stop on that last Reedy drive, not letting them get in there to tie up the game.
And as 22 men stand and watch the clock expire, it certainly looks like that will be the final play of half number one. 14-10 your score through 2 quarters worth of play. Lucas Lovejoy on the road with a 4-point lead over Frisco Reedy in a very important District 7 5A Division II clash. These two teams both want to win a district championship this year. Winner tonight will still have a chance at it. Loser tonight probably won't. And we've got 24 minutes left to settle that and try and figure out exactly who's going to win this football game. One thing to keep an eye on, you see 28 minutes on your clock right now. That's the halftime clock. We're expecting to see the bands here momentarily. We did talk with the coaches before the game, and you see them at the center of the field right now discussing, trying to figure out, are we actually going to do a halftime tonight? Keeping an eye on the weather, keeping an eye on whether or not those storms are going to roll in. It appears that they have made that decision, and indeed we will have a halftime and therefore a halftime show. Both teams will go to their locker rooms, and for the next 28 minutes you get to enjoy the bands. But before we kick it over to these two bands as they perform for you over the next 28 minutes, Taylor, your final thoughts from half number one.
You know, I guess I was expecting a little more offense from both teams.
Yeah.
Both these defenses have, I think, done very well to slow things down how they did because, you know, these are two teams that are known to put up some points. But overall, yeah, very, very impressed with the defenses. RW Ruckers looked pretty dynamic there in the backfield. I thought it was a great job on that last drive by Jalen Kitna. They finally got something going through the air, and couple trick plays that have really I would describe them as delightful. I love to see some of that. But
add a little juice to the day.
Yeah, and I mean this isn't going to be a 51-0 game, so I think this is
that is for sure.
You know, this is a game that's important to both teams, and both of them are really playing like it so far.
All right, we've got Frisco Reedy's band out on the football field, so we'll kick it over to them. You guys enjoy the bands, and we'll see you guys in about 25 minutes.
The Sapphire Sparkle of the Week is Bella Steelman. The Sapphire Jewel of the Week is Isabella Ammon. And now, the Sapphires will perform a Streamer Jazz routine to Coming For You. High School staff of the week from the CPE department, Mrs. Burns. The Sapphire manager is Dick Chesmerin. The Sapphires are under the direction of Christy Platt and Christine Flanagan. Special thank you to our official Sapphire sponsors, Lockland Dunning Benefit, First United Bank Mortgage, Collin County Wynn Nelson Company, Elise Guthrie Realtor, Nick Keller Williams, Branton Travel, Right Way Moving Company, Epic Carts, Legacy Plumbing, and Rabbit. The Reedy Band will now perform a portion of their 2019 competitive marching show entitled Wondrous Light. Please welcome to the field drum majors Catherine Walker, Tyler Wynn, and Alicia Lee. And now, the 2019 Reedy High School Marching Band.
Martial Arts, Legacy ER, Sonic Drive-In on Main and 423, 7-Eleven on Main and 423, Similar CPA, Williamson Music First, Tom Dunn, Toyota of Plano, Benjamin Biggs Financial Advisor at BiggsWealth.com, Wynn's Family Dentistry, Fusion Chiropractic, LNX Graphics, and Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of North Texas. Tonight, the Reedy Band also salutes the Frisco ISD transportation drivers who help our band and color guard students and their equipment arrive safely at every football game and every competition. Thank you for all your support this marching season. Finally, good luck to our friends in the Lovejoy High School Marching Band. May you have tremendous success this season. Now remember, we are one pride. We are Reedy High School. Go Lions! And now we are proud to present the Crown of Lovejoy, the Majestic Dance Team. From left to right are Senior Lieutenant Jessica Luck, Junior Lieutenant Grace Kuzinski, Junior Lieutenant Sydney Spore, Senior Lieutenant Megan Maxwell, and center, the Captain, Kylie Rankin. Our social officers are Junior Sergeant Grace Baker, Junior Sergeant Alexa Baraha, Junior Sergeant Caitlin DeBoge, Junior Sergeant Meredith Hughes. Tonight, the Majestics will be performing an exciting kick routine to I Like It. Majestics dance team. The Majestics are under the pressure. Miss Jacqueline Simone. The Majestics would like to thank the 2019-2020 Diamond and Ruby Crown sponsors.
This evening, the Lovejoy Band will perform their 2019 contest production, Juliet, featuring the music of Tchaikovsky, and featuring clarinet soloist Shane Ould. Bill Harris, Lily Hager, and Catherine O'Brien. So the LHS band directors are Paul Hoyer, Daniel King, and Nathan Lewis. Color guard director is David Sadler. And the section of the week is the trumpet. Lovejoy Band has recently performed on the prestigious stage called New York City National Conference and Festival. Also this summer, in this state is the Texas State Honor Grant Final. They have also recently been the National Women's Band Honors Project. Congratulations, students.
Thursday Night Lights here on the WFAA Digital Network, sponsored by Texas Health Resources. Mike Leslie and Taylor Williamson back here with you on the WFAA Facebook page, YouTube Live, and WFAA.com. 14-10, our halftime score in favor of Lucas Lovejoy. An impressive first half from them. Ralph Rucker, RW Rucker, leading the charge. A rushing score and a passing score hit Reed Westervelt in the right front corner of the end zone, heading down right to left on our left-hand side to give them that 14-7 lead. 14-10 now after a field goal late in the half from Frisco Reedy. And that's where things stand through one half of play, but certainly an awful lot of football left to come between these two.
There is, and I think there could be some lead changes here in the second half. I do have to thank RW Rucker because it makes us look a lot smarter when the players that we highlight before the game do a lot of exciting things.
It helps.
It was good stuff by him. The Reedy offense started clicking a little bit more on that final drive after the mishandled field goal. So I'm sure, it was nice for them to have that to kind of build on. But again, as I said right when we got to halftime, very impressed by what the two defenses were able to do, again, because these are some two high-powered offenses. But these guys know what is on the line, and these guys are going to be playing like their hair's on fire, trying to make sure that they make the tackles, fill their gaps, and play good coverage downfield on both sides.
RW Rucker with a 1-yard touchdown run right at the very end of the first quarter. 55 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The first score of the game made it 7-0 Lucas Lovejoy. Reedy answered with a touchdown run from Jacob Smith. Only about 2 minutes later, a 2-yard touchdown run that came after the trick play. Will Harbour threw it up the right-hand sideline to Jacob Smith. That got them down into the red zone. Smith finished the drive with a 2-yard touchdown run and knotted this game up at 7 points apiece. RW Rucker touchdown pass to Reed Westervelt about midway through the second quarter, made it 14-7. And then, as you mentioned, there was the opportunity for Lovejoy to build on that lead. Drove down into the red zone. You thought maybe they might be able to make it 21-7. Forced to settle for a field goal with their kicker, Tyler Loop. You thought for sure it's going to be 17-7.
Obviously.
Snap was a little bit high. Harper Poole, the holder, had the snap come up a little bit too high on him. He had to kind of ducktail and try and make something of that play. Very nearly did. Yeah. But ultimately, they were not able to convert on what ended up being an attempt to convert on fourth down at about 6. And as a result, that play, the ball went over to Reedy on downs, and they drive down the football field, set up the 23-yard field goal from Will Harbour right before the half, and that's what gets us to where we stand right now. 14-10 with just about a minute to go before we get back underway here with the second half of play as the Reedy Lions come back out on the football field here at Frisco Memorial Stadium, and just about time to get back underway here.
That 28-minute halftime just flew by, Mike. It was a great job by both the bands.
Yes, indeed.
Obviously, in Texas, we do everything big, the football and the halftimes as well. So, there was some discussion about whether we would even get in the halftime or not. So, I guess I'm glad they did, although I really hope that these foreboding clouds don't have some electrically charged particles meet from the ground in the air and meet together. I think that's how lightning works, but your wife's the meteorologist, so don't ask me.
She probably knows better than the both of us do, I can say with some certainty. But at least for the moment, it looks like we're okay. You can see as we take the wide angle, you can see still some elements of light. We still have a little bit of daylight left to work with here as we're about to hit the official sundown time for today. But from a rain perspective, from a lightning perspective, I think we are still at least an hour from that point. I don't know if we can play this second half in 1 hour straight up. we might need to in order to get this football game to its completion before the thunderstorms come in. But for the moment, we're okay. We've still got a little bit of a window, and hopefully those storms don't get here until more like 8:30, 8:45, and we'll be able to already be on our way home by that point. But the kickoff to start off half number 2 out of bounds, and that's going to give very good field position to Lucas Lovejoy as they start the second half with possession.
Let's put it this way, Mike. The first half was played in about an hour. I mean, the game kicked at 5:30. It's 7 o'clock now, and with a 28-minute halftime, give or take a couple minutes around there. That first half may have been under an hour, to be completely honest with you. There was a lot of runs. I mean, Lovejoy, they ran the ball more than 20 times, almost 25 times, and Reedy ran about 18, 19 times, so there was a pretty high occurrence of run plays.
We'll see an awful lot of that from Lovejoy, especially given that they have a lead to begin this second half. RW Rucker in there in shotgun with 3 wides to the top side of the formation, and he will run it on a quarterback draw on the first play of this second half, and cut down by Ryan Jones, scraping across to make the play, a pickup of about 3 for Rucker.
That was a good pursuit by Ryan Jones right there. Rucker looked like he was trying to get to the outside, but Ryan Jones just came out of there like a rocket and took him down, mitigating at least some of the damage that Rucker was able to do with his legs right there.
So 2nd and 7 now. Rucker and the Lovejoy Leopards with a 4-point lead here as we start half number 2. And flags right off the jump.
Did you get him?
Going to be a false start against the Lovejoy Leopards, so 2nd and 7 will become 2nd down and 12 now. And that's where it gets a little bit more difficult, especially with the talent that is on this Frisco Reedy defense. You get behind the sticks and things get an awful lot more difficult.
No, that's very true. And, we talked about seeing more running because they're up, and you have to wonder to a certain extent, especially if you're up, do you want to end this game as quickly as you can before any potential weather difficulties come?
So 2nd and 12, Rucker throws left-hand side, complete right into the hands of Leighton Archer, and for a first down out to the 43. Archer wide open at the 40-yard line, and fresh set of downs for Rucker and company as we're a little over a minute into quarter number 3. Mike Leslie and Taylor Williamson here with you on the WFAA Digital Network. If you're watching on Facebook, please click that share button. Let your friends and families in the Reedy and Lovejoy communities know that they can tune in and enjoy the football game. Rucker's going to take off here on 1st and 10. He's got the first down, and he's got an awful lot more out across midfield, inside the 45-yard line, out of bounds at the 41. Rucker with a couple of nice plays to start off the second half.
Yeah, that was a QB draw run to perfection. You see number 24, Brooks Griffith, on the pursuit. He does a good job at least kind of staying the same speed, but RW Rucker's so quick, he wasn't able to gain much ground on it.
This is a Lovejoy team coached by Todd Ford as Nadeau takes the handoff here on 1st and 10, picks up about, they're going to mark him basically at the line of scrimmage, no gain on that play. Ford is a Todd Dodge disciple. Many fans in the DFW area that may be watching right now know him from his time at South Lake Carroll. Of course, the head coach now down at Austin Westlake. 2nd down and 10 here for Rucker and company. Again, the handoff to Nadeau, and again, very little running room, and surprise, surprise, Will Harbour doing the damage, and it'll be 3rd down and long. But Todd Ford was a coach under Dodge at South Lake Carroll during their extremely successful run in the early 2000s. Started on that staff under Todd Dodge in 2004. They had also coached prior to that at Carrollton Newman Smith. As on 3rd down and 8, Rucker looks to the right-hand side. He's got a man complete. Nice job by Westervelt to go up and make the catch, and he's got the first down.
That's his main man right there. Westervelt already has a touchdown on the evening. And, he's caught 3 balls now, I should say. And look for Rucker to go back to him if he can get some separation between him and the defense.
1st and 10, handoff to Noah Nadeau. Cuts back inside of Jack Pruitt and picks up about 4. So Ford coached under Dodge at for that South Lake Carroll program. There in 04, 05, 06 for those 3 state championships in a row, the 3 consecutive state championships that followed the state title in 2002 as well. They won 4 out of 5 there at South Lake Carroll. And then he followed Todd Dodge to UNT and was Dodge's offensive coordinator there for several years before he went down to Round Rock to start the Round Rock Cedar Ridge program before he came here to Lovejoy. Successful just about everywhere he's gone. Rucker trying to find some success here. Finally has to throw the ball out of bounds. Was flushed out of the pocket, was dancing around, extended that play multiple times, and ultimately it goes down as an incomplete pass, and it will be 3rd and 7.
He did about as much as he could do there. He probably bought himself about 3 or 4 extra seconds, just not even moving that far around in the pocket, but just making those, reading what the defenders are doing and making those subtle moves to avoid contact.
So 3rd and 7, they are in range for a field goal from Tyler Loop. It would be about a 44-yarder from right here. Rucker, pressure off the left edge. Tries to escape. He's still on his feet. Somehow gets outside, but now he's taken. He throws it up in the air, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Sam Barber, and Barber may go the distance. No, and they do. The only one with a shot at it. Touchdown. Frisco Reedy. Pick 6. Jack Pruitt, the one with the interception. Not Sam Barber. 5, not 6. Jack Pruitt picking it off, taking it the distance, and Reedy goes in front for the first time today.
And that's to a certain extent, Rucker does a good job avoiding the first man. Can't get away from Will Harbour. Who else? He tries to loft it up. Either doesn't get enough on it or gets too much on it. Either way, Jack Pruitt, the senior, he is there for his 2nd interception of the season, and that is a huge momentum changer right there that gives Reedy the lead.
Extra point will be...
That one was blocked.
They're going to try to return this. They will not be successful returning it, but it goes down as no points for Reedy, and it will be 16-14 in favor of the Lions after all of that. So another look at the interception here. Rucker stepping up in the pocket, evading traffic, doing everything that he's done all game long to try and keep the play alive, but this time kept it alive for a little too long. And Jack Pruitt, 73 yards on the pick 6. Knowing they do, trying to cut back inside of Ryan Jones to make a play on him, but just couldn't get the angle. Pruitt to the house, and Reedy has the lead.
And you certainly appreciate Rucker's tenacity there, but sometimes when you're back there and trying to make something happen, you can try to do a little bit too much. You never want to take the sack, but that was also good on Jack Pruitt, having a nose for the ball, running right under it, and then just taking off. About 70 yards of green in front of him, so that was as good of a play on the defense as it was, unfortunately.
So 16-14, Reedy goes in front here early on in quarter number 3. And now Lovejoy has to find an answer for the first time today, playing from behind with this 2-point deficit.
And that even though that field goal, the botched field goal attempt wasn't a turnover, it acted as a turnover of sorts, and then took what you would think would have been pretty sure points off the field, and you have that one as well. So Frisco Reedy doing a good job of capitalizing on the opportunities when they get them.
This is Dylan McGee on the return, cutting back across the field, across the 25, still on his feet. Finally taken down at the 28-yard line. Nice return by the sophomore backup linebacker, Dylan McGee. That was something that Todd Ford told us about over the course of the week. He said, you're not going to see many linebackers deep to return kickoffs across high school football, college football, certainly not in the pros. He said that's the kind of athlete Dylan McGee is. He said those are the kinds of things that he brings to the table. A sophomore that is certainly rising within this program, getting more and more time on the defensive side of the ball. He's the backup to Austin King, but we've seen him on the field already make some plays tonight. He was the one who recovered the fumble earlier on from Will Harbour. So Dylan McGee making some plays tonight as just a sophomore, and now flags again, and once again a false start against Lovejoy, so they'll be set up with 1st and 15.
And Austin King's not a bad guy to be backing up. That guy could do a lot of good things.
Yeah.
And so, there's no shame. And as you said, just a sophomore, but Coach Ford very interested in seeing what he can do. Add that to just one of the 6 or 7 sophomores who've seen some pretty significant time from this Leopards team.
Will Carter, another sophomore worth keeping an eye on. The right tackle, number 77, has earned his way into a starting role over the course of the first few weeks of the season here for Lovejoy. Doing a nice job on the right-hand side right now for Rucker as he looks deep down the center of the field. Nearly hauled in up the seam. Tried to find Luke Mayfield, and that would have been a dazzling hookup, but just not quite able to grab a hold of it.
That was a pretty looking throw by Rucker, and the timing was almost there, just a hair off as Mayfield not quite able to get right under it. He gets one hand under it, but also good coverage by Jack Pruitt. They're going with him stride for stride.
Pruitt, of course, with the interception return for a touchdown just moments ago to give Reedy the lead. Now Rucker here on 2nd down and 15, keeps it himself and gets out to the 30.
And Pruitt's got to be pretty juiced after that that pick 6 right there.
No doubt.
I can imagine that guy's going to be playing with a lot of, not that he wasn't already, but even more pep in his step after making such a huge play.
So back out to the 30 after the run with Rucker, and it's 3rd down and 9. 7:30 and moving, 3rd quarter here from Frisco Memorial Stadium. Reedy with their first lead of the game right now. 3 wides to the top of the formation for RW Rucker on 3rd and 9. Looking that way, fires that way through the hands and incomplete. It's going to be 4th and 9 and a punt forthcoming from this Lovejoy offense.
You know, I've been keeping an eye on Nadu in the backfield. Obviously, he's a dynamic runner. They've been using him in pass protection as well, and on a couple of these, he's had a little trouble. But on most of those plays, especially that one right there, he threw a great cut block and at least bought time for that throw.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't complete, but I mean, especially with a younger guy, if you could get him to excel not only in the run game but in pass protection as well, that's just a huge bonus.
First time today we're seeing Tyler Loop punt the football. A good punt. It's bobbled momentarily, scooped back up, and now trying to run with the football and spinning away from some tackles. Still on his feet is Jalen Fuchsa. Out to the right-hand side. Fuchsa still going across the 35.
That's a nice little run back. I thought he was marked for death whenever he picked it up, and he had 2 guys bearing down on him, but he just picked it up and just shakes him off, shakes off another tackle, shakes off another tackle, which I thought for sure was going to get him, and he turned that into a very nice return. And he's a guy who's kind of new, but has had to adjust a little bit. The boy's got quickness.
Just 5'9" and 150 pounds the junior is, and showing he's got some scoots and a couple of nice moves there, kind of ducked underneath those 2 initial coverage men from Lovejoy. And now for the first time today, we see the Reedy offense with a lead. And Jacob Smith cutting back across the grain. He's got the first down, and he's out to midfield.
And we'll see how Reedy operates with the lead, too, now. I'm sure, that missed extra point, that I'm sure that weighs at least a little in their minds, because right now they're only up by 2, and, pretty much any score but a safety would give Lovejoy back the lead. So I'm sure they want to make it down and add to give themselves a little bit of breathing room, at least in that sense.
1st and 10 from right at the midfield stripe. Handoff up the middle goes for about 8 in the hands of Sam Noskin, the junior backup running back.
That's one of the guys who is going to relieve Smith. I mean, Smith has obviously excelled, but just as a sophomore, you don't want to get him too tired. You want to keep his feet under him as well as you can.
2nd down and 3. Kitna under center now. Handoff again to Noskin. This time stacked up right at the line of scrimmage and pushed back a swarm of Lovejoy defenders. Nice job to fit the hole and finish the play.
And much like the first quarter, I mean, this quarter is going by pretty quickly. We've had a lot of run plays. It's important to get points when the game is going by as fast as this. Both teams have really relied on the ground game, which, you would have expected if this game started at 7:30 especially, but I guess I wasn't expecting to see as much emphasis on the run from both teams as they've given so far this evening.
Maybe some emphasis on the run here on 3rd down and 2. Timeout called by Frisco Reedy. Will Harbour came out on the football field there for this 3rd and short. He has been their short down running back for basically the last 4 years, was on the field even as a freshman, 2016, 17, 18, and now here in 2019. He has been a key piece of this team for his entire career. His head coach, Chad Cole, said it starts and ends with Will Harbour, both on the offensive and on the defensive side. Certainly on the defensive side, he's their starting middle linebacker, and that's the position he's going to go play in college, but also very effective on the offensive side of the ball, short yardage runs, and also the Wildcat quarterback. And he said that there are a lot of times over the course of the season where Harbour will be on the sideline, not on the field at that moment with the offense, and they get into a short yardage situation, and he'll just look over at his coach. I got it. Runs out there, converts the first down, heads back to the sideline and gets rested up for the next time they need to use him in a short yardage situation. He's very much the leader of this football team and is very trusted by this coaching staff. He's built this program is exactly the words that Chad Cole used to describe Will Harbour, who's in there to the right and taking the fake here on 3rd and 2, and Kitten is going to throw it on the near side, and they do have the first down. Fuchs has got it, and he's out across the 30 and finally slung down out of bounds. So they use Harbour as a decoy there on 3rd down and 2 and pick up the first down on play action.
And we've been seeing a lot of good things from Fuchs so far this game, be it in the wide receiving or in the passing game or in the kick return game. He's certainly making things work for him.
They're now inside the 30-yard line to the 29 is the fresh line of scrimmage on 1st and 10 for Kitten and company. This time the handoff will go to Will Harbour. Able to fight his way for, I'm going to call it only 2. I thought he had gotten a little more than that, but no, it'll be 2nd down and 8 after a short run.
And, we were talking about Harbour, and we did catch up with him before the game and asked him when the coach said that he built this team, kind of what his feelings were on this team in that statement. He called these guys his family. He said, he always has a place here at Reedy. It's his home, and you can tell he's very passionate about what he puts into the program. And, they certainly get everything they can out of him. But just talking to him, I don't think he would have it any other way.
No, he would not. 2nd down and 8, 4:20 to play 3rd quarter. Kitten in shotgun once again. Jacob Smith back out there to play running back for the Lions. Play action fake, and Kitten is going to throw on the right-hand side. Is that pass going to be inbounds? No, sir. Just out of bounds. Tried to find Josh Hernandez on the right sideline, but pass was a little too tall, and Hernandez not quite able to drag the toe.
And he was getting a little bit of pressure from the Lovejoy defensive front four there, who they got a little bit of penetration there into the backfield, so he kind of had to get rid of that, but just a little bit off on the throw.
Tyler Beidelman and Marco Dieterle, the 2 defensive tackles on that Lovejoy front. Beidelman, a 3-year starter, Dieterle, a 2-year starter. A lot of veterans on that unit that make some plays, and also some youth and some talent in Brian Kataki as well, trying to chase down Jalen Kitna tonight. 3rd down and 8, and it looks like Reedy's going to use another timeout. This will be timeout number 2, taken in the second half. So they are down to 1 to span the final 16 minutes and 6 seconds of this football game in what is currently a 2-point game. That could be very, very important. 2 timeouts used on this drive just in the last 3 minutes or so. And we'll see whether or not that comes back to bite Chad Cole's team or not.
If they get 7 points on this drive, then I think Coach Cole will consider it a couple timeouts well spent. But you're right. If it comes down to it and we're under 2 or 3 minutes, especially if Lovejoy retakes the lead and has the ball, that certainly makes it a much dicier proposition for the Lions. But if he's got something good dialed up here that gets him the 8 yards, I'd call it a timeout well spent.
4:06 in this 3rd quarter, 16-14 the score in favor of Reedy, trying to add to it. At the 28-yard line, from here it would be a 45-yard field goal. We mentioned earlier Will Harbour, who does everything for this football team. He kicks as well. He's hit a 45-yarder this season. He's 7 for 7 on field goals. Kidna flushed and sacked. definitely out of field goal range now. Lovejoy brought the pressure and brought down the junior quarterback.
They're doing what they wanted to do. You know, they're throwing multiple fronts, they're rushing multiple guys and using a lot of movement to kind of get there in the backfield. And, you know, Kittna tried to step up and out of that, but there was 3 guys bearing down on him. And it's going to be hard for anyone to get away from 3 guys like that.
Quickly back to the line of scrimmage comes Jalen Kittna and company on 4th down and 16. Might they quick kick this? Or are they actually going to go for it on 4th and 16 from the 35-yard line? Out of field goal range, but maybe too close to try and punt it, so I guess why not go for it? And they will. Kittna. Flushed and taken down. Back-to-back sacks for the Lovejoy defense. And it's a turnover on downs.
What an impressive series or an impressive last couple plays, especially by the front 7 from Lovejoy, and that's Dylan McGee. He's in there again, a guy who is making stuff happen, but a great job on back-to-back plays where the Leopards really needed it to take back over and try to get back this lead that they lost.
Dylan McGee has a fumble recovery today, has the sack there to create the turnover on downs. A big, big game for a sophomore linebacker. He has made some plays tonight. RW Rucker diving forward as he lost his feet here on 1st and 10, picked up about 2.
And I can't emphasize how important that stop was on back-to-back plays for the Lovejoy defense, because if you let Reedy go up 10 points in a game, that points have been at such a premium, at least so far, that's you're getting into the danger zone a little bit there.
2nd down and 8 now for Rucker and company as they take over the start of this drive at the 39-yard line. So great field position, but Rucker taken down. He's got a man all over his back and sacked for a loss of 3. And down hurt. Who is this for Reedy that's down? I believe it was the young man who made the sack. Haven't been able to see a number just yet. It's 54 that was all over the back of, and he stayed down immediately. That's Hudson Halbert, the defensive tackle, the nose tackle for this Reedy football team. Went up over top of RW Rucker. And his teammates were obviously excited for him, made a big play, made the sack, and started kind of grabbing him by his jersey and celebrating with him. And I think they very quickly realized that he needed to stay on the field, and the training staff now over with him. John Hicks and Sayana Rowe, the 2 trainers for this Reedy football team, and he is back up on his feet and limping off.
Good to see him at least under his own power, though.
Yes. Big smile from John Hicks, the trainer, so it seems like everything is mostly okay. Looks like he's got a rip in his jersey that they're noticing as well. Made a heck of a play. Was all over the back of RW Rucker and took him down for the sack, and that's what's going to create this 3rd and 12 that they now face. But scary moment there for Hudson Halbert. Good to see him walk off under his own power, and we'll keep an eye on whether or not he's able to make his way back out on the football field tonight. Meanwhile, it is 3rd and 12 for Rucker out of shotgun. Rucker looking deep on the near sideline. He's got a man complete for a 1st down. Luke Mayfield for he's very close to the 1st down at the very least. It's going to depend on the spot. Maybe just a hair shy. They've got him at what, the 47-yard line? Maybe the 48. He had to get to the 49. It's going to be about 1.5 yards short, and it's going to be 4th down.
Well, and it looked like he caught it at about the 50, but he doubled back to try to go the other way, get some space, and then get some space upfield. But unfortunately for him, there were 2 guys waiting there to make the tackle. They didn't want to give him any more yards than he'd already gotten.
So facing 4th and 2 at just shy of midfield, Todd Ford and company elect to punt. Flags fly in at the snap, and Loop sends it down the near sideline. Bounces inside the 20 and out of bounds at about the 17, 18-yard line. It looks like that's where they're going to mark it, but it's going to depend on the flag as to whether or not this play stands at all. Offside against the defense. It's going to be a free 1st down for Lovejoy. Unbelievable. A huge flag that effectively goes down as a turnover.
Yeah.
That is an enormous flag against Reedy.
And I couldn't tell if Lovejoy drew him offsides at all, but I definitely saw one of the players from Reedy. He was off a little bit, and yeah, just like that, it's going to give Lovejoy another chance. And in a game where chances are going to be at a premium as we get closer to the fourth quarter. That's a huge play in the wrong way for the Lions.
1:28 on the clock here, third quarter. An offside against Frisco Reedy gives Lovejoy a free first down and keeps RW Rucker out on the football field. Has to spin away from some pressure, flies to the near side, throws it out of bounds through the hands of his intended receiver, and incomplete, so it'll be 2nd and 10. A lot of pressure from the Reedy defense there.
I will say I've been very impressed these past couple drives how the Reedy front four, without any blitzes or anything, they've done a good job of getting into the backfield and kind of blowing up some of these plays.
Brooks Griffith, Hudson Halbert, Peyton Beck, Jack Jamison, the starting defensive line for this Reedy defense. Of course, Halbert not out there momentarily. We'll keep an eye on whether or not he comes back out on the football field, but we haven't seen him just yet.
And that's something of note that we were talking with Coach Cole about was they don't have a lot of backups on their defensive or offensive line. So it's kind of a thin unit, so they can't afford to be without Halbert for too long.
Noah Jackson, the backup for Halbert, is on the field now for 3rd down and 6. Rucker with 3 wide receivers to the top of the formation. 30 seconds to play, third quarter. Rucker with his team down 2, looks down the near sideline. He's going for the deep ball for Westervelt. Tried for a one-handed grab and couldn't haul it in. And it'll be 4th down and 6.
And I don't want to play referee at all.
And it's going to be a flag against, it's going to be a hold against the Lovejoy offense. Smith Holder giving us our signal tonight. He's the referee and crew chief this evening, asking the Reedy defense whether or not they want to decline the penalty, and indeed they will, so it'll be 4th down and 6. The play will stand, and the football will come back to the 44-yard line, and once again, Tyler Loop and company out there to punt the ball away.
I will tell you, there was a lot of hand fighting on, that reception between the two guys. Kind of hard to figure out even who was at fault, so at that point, I don't think you throw the flag. You don't worry about anything.
Yeah, probably a good no call in that situation. Here comes Loop to punt it away once again. Jalen Fuchs is standing at his own 10-yard line. High, towering punt, fair catch called for and made at the 13. And back comes Jalen Kitna and company with a 2-point lead and 16 seconds on the clock in quarter number 3.
And it's interesting. We talked about Tyler Loop, and he told you before the game, I believe, that he's made a 73-yarder
He said he made a 73-yarder once in practice.
But he at least as of last year, wasn't as polished as a punter, and that's apparently been something that he's been working very hard on and has come a long ways in the last year and a half as far as punting, to the point where it's caught up with how good he is at kicking.
Which is incredible because he's really good at both. Kitna on the first play of the drive pitches to Jacob Smith. Smith with a head of steam across the 20, dragging would-be tacklers out to the 23-yard line and close to the first down marker.
I'm telling you, if I can run behind Nate Anderson every play, I'm going to try to run behind Nate Anderson every play.
4s in the air here at Frisco Memorial Stadium. 12 minutes on the clock, fourth quarter time here in a very good District 7 5A Division II matchup between Reedy and Lovejoy. Reedy with that 2-point edge as we head to the fourth quarter.
And nothing in this game has really been decided so far. I mean, it's a 2-point game, almost the thinnest of margins that you can have. These teams have been, relatively even. Lovejoy picked up the edge on offense in that second half, or third quarter, I should say. But that's probably by virtue of, Reedy scoring on the pick 6. That kept their offense off the field for a little while longer.
Yeah. So while we have a moment here between quarters, we do want to let you guys know our next destination for Thursday Night Lights, and we're actually going to a Friday night broadcast for the next 2 weeks. We're going to take a quick spin through TAPS. We've got Bishop Lynch and Parish Episcopal next week on Thursday Night Lights, but again, it will be a Friday night broadcast. Friday night, a week from tomorrow, 7 o'clock, right here on the WFAA Facebook page, YouTube Live, and WFAA.com. Two of the best TAP schools in the entire state, Bishop Lynch and Parish Episcopal, our next Thursday Night Lights broadcast as we get back underway here with fourth quarter action and Jalen Kitna and company on second down and about a yard. Kitna on the QB draw. has just enough for the first down before he's pulled backward. So it'll be a fresh set of downs for the Lions offense at their own 26-yard line.
And that's not anything that we've seen out of Reedy so far. That was Kitna's first time, or I should say, no, they have him down as 4 carries, but some of those were on sacks. We haven't seen a lot of him intentionally run.
That's certainly not his forte. Last week had 7 carries for 4 yards, just to kind of give you an example. And again, like you're saying, some of those carries, quote unquote, are officially sacks. But he does have enough for the first down, and it's 1st and 10 from the 26 as the clock is wound under 11:30 to play here in the fourth quarter. 16-14 in favor of Reedy as the handoff goes to Sam Noskin, dragging tacklers for all of about 2 yards, but he had defenders stacked up on his back as he ran laterally and gained 2 on the first play of the 4-down series here. 2nd and 8 now.
And that third quarter took about 26 minutes. I mean, these teams are pounding the ball so much.
Yeah.
This game is going by in a hurry.
Flying.
Which is probably good considering the ominous weather that harder to see now that it's dark out. But I would reckon it's still coming this week.
It's making its way in our direction, but I think we've still got about 45 minutes or so. So I think we might be all right as Kitna drops back to pass on 2nd down and 8, and it's right through the hands of Josh Hernandez and dropped.
And yeah, that one's a little bit costly on the slant over the middle. He had some good separation, but the connection just wasn't quite there.
By my tally, we're about a half an hour from seeing rain, but hopefully at least an hour away from seeing anything that might resemble thunder and lightning. So good Lord willing, we'll get the balance of this football game in. 10:31 to play here in the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 8 and a big play here for Kitna and company. He's got 3 wides to the top side of the formation. Pressure coming from Lovejoy. Steps forward, flips it forward, and they'll have the first down into the hands of Jalen Fuchsa, and he's out close to midfield. Creative little play from Jalen Kitna to step forward in the pocket and convert on 3rd and long.
I was about to say, how do you like that as far as presence of mind? He avoids the 2 blitzing defensive ends and just flips it out to Fuchsa, who the guy's quick. He's shown us that time and time again so far this play. I don't know what I was expecting out of him, but he's really been an X factor for them, I think, so far.
He absolutely has had a very nice game for Frisco Reedy, and he's part of why they have this 16-14 lead. They're going to try and come to the near side once again, complete right at the sideline. Josh Hernandez close to a first down. Looks like it'll depend on the spot. They've got to get to the 42. And our referee this evening, Smith Holder, says yes, indeed. First down, Reedy, and they are into Lovejoy territory.
And I kind of like what they've been doing. I know that they've been going to the run a lot, but on this drive, they've been trying to open it up a little more with these short passes, and they're finding success with it so far.
1st and 10 now for Kitna in shotgun. Hand off to Jacob Smith, and Smith met in the hole. Filling the gap is Austin King, and that play goes for no gain.
And King, again, being a difference maker. I mean, both these teams have 2 very steady middle linebackers, which, as an Oakland Raiders fan, they haven't had a steady middle linebacker in about 15 years, and I can tell you it does not work out well when you don't have a steady middle linebacker.
That is a true statement. 2nd down and 10. Kitna rolling out and pressured and throws it backwards. That's a live football. Jumping on top of it is Nate Anderson, their right tackle, lowers his shoulder through the face of Brian Katecki, but taken down for a big loss. I feel bad for Brian Katecki at the tail end of this play. First of all, Jalen Kitna making, frankly, a mistake to try and throw that football. At some point, you've got to just be willing to take the sack. But Brian Katecki, I mean, give him credit. He still made the tackle.
He did, but it's
Officials still sorting out a flag that was thrown on the play as well. Reedy head coach Chad Cole out on the field trying to figure out exactly what happened there.
Suppose you could call intentional grounding on that, couldn't you?
I mean, I think technically it goes down as a fumble, so I don't know how you can't call intentional grounding on something that actually technically wasn't a forward pass.
I suppose that's true.
So it all goes down as a massive loss, and it will be 3rd down and 33 for Kitten and Company from their own 35. They've got to get to the Lovejoy 32 for a first down. Jacob Smith is going to get a decent chunk of that yardage back, gets out to the 45. But it will certainly be a punting situation here for Ryan Jones and the Reedy Lions.
Not quite all of the 33 there, but a lot of people don't necessarily like the draws on 3rd and 33. But you don't want to make a bad situation worse by trying to do too much when you're when you're so far behind the chains. I mean, this is still a 2-point game. If the defense comes out, makes a stand, even if Reedy runs a little time off the clock, Lovejoy still has all of their timeouts and the ability to make things work for them.
That's Jacob Smith, the sophomore running back who was carrying on that last play, limping his way off after being tended to by the Frisco Reedy trainers. We're told by our crew they think he was cramping up. So you'd imagine you'll probably see the sophomore running back make his way back out on the field here in a little bit once he's able to get a little hydration, but for the moment it's going to be 4th and 24 and a punt here from Ryan Jones. Back deep to receive for Lovejoy is Luke Mayfield, the junior wide receiver.
We've seen 2 of the starters from Reedy have to leave, him and Hudson Halbert, but both of them were able to walk off under their own power, which is encouraging.
Punt is away from Jones. And a fair catch called for and made by Mayfield. And back comes RW Rucker and Company down to 4th quarter. 8 minutes and 10 seconds to play. Lovejoy's got all 3 timeouts. And they're going to try and drive down the football field and take the lead here.
And as far as gifts come, they don't come much better than that backwards pass by Jalen Kitna.
Yeah.
He was obviously trying to make something happen, much like RW Rucker was trying to make something happen, earlier when Jack Pruitt came up with the big interception. But this will give Lovejoy that chance they needed.
So 1st and 10 for Rucker. 2 wides to the near side. Back in the backfield with him is Noah Nadeau, and Nadeau's taken down in the backfield immediately.
And, it seems like both of these defensive fronts have kind of keyed in at least a little bit to how much both teams are running. And as the game has worn on, I guess they've been ready. They've been better about slowing down these guys in the backfield.
You may have noticed the young man who made that play, Hudson Halbert, back out on the football field and getting penetration in the backfield, creating a 3-yard loss on the Noah Nadeau run, and it's now 2nd and 13. So good to see Halbert back on the football field. He did jog off right after that play, but good to see that he's able to come back. Now they're going to go deep down the right sideline, just over the outstretched hands of Reed Westervelt. Rucker took a shot down that right sideline and nearly connected.
And that was close to being a huge play for Lovejoy. Westervelt had about a step and a half on the defender right there, and if he hits him in stride, that goes down as a 40-yard gain at least. I mean, he could have probably taken that to the house if
he was yards behind the defense. That was a big opportunity that was only just barely missed by RW Rucker and Reed Westervelt. So now 3rd and 13 for Lovejoy.
Also, I'd just like to point out that the band is playing Hey Baby, and that is like my favorite song to hear at any high school game. I think all of our viewers agree with me on that.
The musical stylings of one Taylor Williamson. Rucker in shotgun here on 3rd and 13. Pressure in his face, steps up, evades, not able to evade the final swarm from this Reedy defense. Taken down for a loss once again, and it will be 4th down and 17. And Lovejoy will have to punt it away.
And again, that's Reedy essentially doing that with their front 4. They had Will Harbour kind of come up at the end to make sure that Rucker wasn't going to get free, but that was just the front 4 and a blitzing. They did a very good job of getting pressure on Rucker, as they have a lot of this second half.
Chad Cole said it earlier this week. The defense has been their strong suit, and they've shown it tonight, giving up just 14 points so far this evening. Fair catch called for and made at the 49-yard line by Jalen Fuchsa, and it goes back over to Reedy. An opportunity here for Reedy to perhaps put the football game away. You get in the end zone, make it a 2-score game here in the final 6 minutes and 44 seconds of the fourth quarter, and that one probably puts this game on ice, but Lovejoy, of course, with an opportunity to make a defensive stop here, and their defense needs to.
They really do, and I mean, by virtue of just where that punt was kicked, that was a good punt by Austin Libb. That was about a 55-yard punt, but they were kicking out of their own end zone, and you're going to give them good field position inevitably there, and because of that, Reedy only has to go 51 yards to make this a 2-score game.
Getting the back in shotgun. 1st and 10, and the handoff goes to Will Harbour up the middle, and Harbour leaping his way through would-be tacklers. And close to a first down, not quite. It'll be 2nd and 2.
You know, for a short yardage guy, he's got really good burst, and I was not expecting to use the adjective leaping through the defense with him. But
we saw Jacob Smith go off before. The starting running back, sophomore number 4, still on the sideline right now trying to hydrate up, so it will remain Will Harbour on the field here on 2nd and 2. 6:12 and moving, fourth quarter. Harbour, first down and inside the 40.
And I would like to note that Carson Farragut, who was the original starting running back and has missed some time, he is cruising down there on a scooter in a pink cast and pink shorts. You can see him from space down there right on the Frisco Reedy sideline.
Farragut, a kid that was a big part of this team in 2017 as a sophomore. Talented kid, showed some promise. They're like, hey, we got a really talented little sophomore that's going to be a good part of the program for years to come. Then in 2018, he also plays soccer, was playing club soccer, and they told him, you can't play football. You want to play club soccer, you got to play only club soccer, and he wasn't able to play football last year. Came back this year, decided he wanted to be a part of this football program, and has had some good success this year. Here on the 1st and 10, the completion on the near side to Josh Barber, and he's pulling his way forward for a first down, and Reedy now inside the 30-yard line.
And Coach Cole was saying that with the success they had last year, that is a very attractive selling point to a lot of kids, and that there were some kids who had not played for a while and wanted to come back, and that you got to make sure you pick and choose. But I think he's been pleased to have kind of not that there wasn't interest, but even more interest in the program.
1st and 10 for Kitten, and now under 5 minutes to play. Kitten, a flush forward in the pocket, has to try and run for it. Does pick up a couple yards. Dragged down from behind by Quinn McDermott. And it will be 2nd down and 7. Lovejoy does have all 3 timeouts remaining, so if they want to try to start stopping the clock, they can do so, but maybe still a little bit early to start considering that just yet. 2nd down and 7 for Reedy. They are on the outskirts of Will Harbour's field goal range. Again, he's hit from 45 this year. Where they stand right now, it would be a 41-yard field goal. So in his range, but on the outside edges of it. Handoff up the middle for Sam Noskin. Hit immediately, but he fights through the first tackle and picks up a few out to the 20-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and a short 3.
And if you're Reedy, if you really want to here, you can, without even picking up a first down, you can bleed this clock under 3 minutes. And if they pick up a first down, I mean, that's when you really start to have to consider using your timeouts if you're Lovejoy.
3rd down and 3. Jalen Kitten in the offense looking to the near side to get the play from offensive coordinator Clayton George. I beg your pardon, from Adam Naron. 3rd and 3. Kitten at a shotgun, hands off to Barber. And Will Harbour with nowhere to go, taken down short of the line to gain. In fact, they're going to say it was a loss of a yard, and it will be 4th down and 4. 3:23 and still ticking. Lovejoy not using a timeout yet. And it looks like Reedy's going to come out and attempt what will be a 37, maybe 38-yard field goal from Will Harbour.
Now, how do you like that if you're Will Harbour? You're the starting running back essentially now. And after you get taken down on that, you have to go out there and kick a field goal.
From right in the center of the field, Harbour. He puts it through.
Wow.
Will Harbour
kid can do it
connects
all.
on the field goal, and it's 19-14 Frisco Reedy.
You know, that was a very important defensive stop by Lovejoy. They now have a chance to get it. They have all 3 timeouts left, 2:50 left on the clock. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility at all for them to make a strong drive. And with their timeouts, they have the flexibility that they don't have to pass it the whole time. They can run it with Noah Nadeau and RW Rucker.
2:50 the time on the clock, and like you said, the fact that they've got all 3 timeouts, certainly helpful. Big stop in and of itself to cut down Will Harbour and not allow him to pick up the first down there on 3rd and 3. In fact, they took him down for a loss. So as a result, Lovejoy will get the football back with an opportunity to take the lead here in the final 3 minutes of the football game.
But again, let's give some credit to Will Harbour. He was dropped for a loss on 3rd down, just gets up, stays out there, and goes ahead and pops the 38-yard field goal in.
His second field goal of the day, also hit from 23 yards right before halftime. Lovejoy scored 14 points in the first quarter and a half of this football game. They've been held scoreless ever since. They need to change that here, and they need to pick up the football first. Nearly a disaster there for Dylan McGee. Picks up the football, a flag thrown right at his feet as he cut back at the 17-yard line, and the initial signal from the officials is that the flag will be against the receiving team, which means the signal from Smith Holder is a illegal block, and that's going to be, depending on the spot, I believe half the distance to the goal line, and that's going to only make things more difficult for RW Rucker and company.
Yeah, you can't get too phased by any of that. It was going to be a pretty long drive for the Leopards anyway, and now it adds just a little bit more. But as we've seen, Rucker's a capable guy under center. Now we're going to see how cool under pressure he can do.
1st and 10 from the 8-yard line. 92 yards from a lead-taking score. 2 minutes and 42 seconds to work with. Rucker at a shotgun. Flush to the near side. 3 Reedy defenders in pursuit. Throws it on the near side. Did he get a foot down in bounds? No, sir. Incomplete. Leighton Archer had a chance at it. They say he didn't make the catch.
That was close. Let's take a look at that replay, because I thought he did a really good job, at least keeping 1 foot down. Rucker, no surprise, behind some time.
It was awfully close. He did a great job of trying to drag that left foot. Officials say he didn't haul it in, and it will be 2nd down and 10, but heck of an effort from Leighton Archer to try and make that catch. I'm a little surprised that wasn't ruled a catch. Instead, 2nd and 10. Rucker throwing on the near side. That is complete in the hands of Luke Mayfield out to the 20-yard line, and that is a 1st down, and that will at least momentarily stop the clock.
And I was about to say, Lovejoy would obviously like to score here, but if they had gone 3 and out, they would have still had the 3 timeouts left where they could have gotten a stop, so it would have been the end all, but for them, it's good to get that 1st down there.
Yeah, holding on to those 3 timeouts as long as possible will certainly be beneficial for Lovejoy. It's thrown on the near side, nearly, it is picked off! Intercepted at the 30-yard line, and it's Jack Pruitt again. Beg your pardon, this time it's Sam Barber. Sam Barber stepping in front of it and making the interception. Wow. Still 3 timeouts for Lovejoy, so an opportunity perhaps to get the football back. But stepping in front, diving in front, and making the interception is Sam Barber, a sensational play.
And I'm going to write to them about making the numbers 5 and 6 look so similar, because it's hard as heck to tell the difference between those two. And worth noting, even if Will Harbour's able to cash in another field goal, should Lovejoy get the stop, that missed extra point, it would only be an 8-point game. So they can yield a field goal, cannot give up a touchdown.
1st and 10 for Kitten and company. He's got Harbour to his right, hands it off to him, and Harbour, I don't think, gained a yard, and immediately Lovejoy will call timeout. .157 to play. if theoretically Lovejoy can make stops here on second down and third down, immediately call timeouts, and perhaps force a long field goal. Again, from here, you're talking a 48, 49-yard field goal if they don't gain any more yards. So a very long field goal for Will Harbour. That may be outside. Again, he's hit a 45-yarder. They may consider that outside of his range. So it'll be a big question as to whether or not Chad Cole and company even want to attempt that long a field goal, if that's what eventually presents itself here over the course of the next couple of plays. But if Lovejoy is able to make back-to-back stops here and call timeouts, they could theoretically get the ball back with about 1:35 to play. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of whether or not it would be a 5-point deficit or an 8-point deficit at that point.
Well, and I feel like Will Harbour is going to have a say in how close he gets for this potential field goal, one way or the other.
There is little doubt of that. I don't expect to see Reedy to be so bold as to throw the football here. Handoff to Harbour. Maybe got about a yard. I'm not sure he even got that. Again, Lovejoy calls timeout, 1:50 on the clock.
Yeah, I know there's sometimes the urge to try and trick up the defense a little bit by throwing in a situation where it's much more prudent to run, but I don't think you want to risk it in a game that's this important and this close with this little time left. Because even if they were to punt it, Lovejoy's out of timeouts. You got under 2 minutes left, so that's going to be tough. As you know, the run has been such a big part for both these teams. I don't know how much you can trust the aerial attack to really move you all the way down the field, whether it be 80 yards, 90 yards, whatever the distance is.
Will Harbour came off the field here during this timeout, so he will not be on the field for this 3rd down and 10. You wonder, will they be so bold as to try and throw the football here on 3rd and 10 and end the football game with a 1st down? They rush to the line of scrimmage here. It'll be Kitna in shotgun, 3rd and 10. And he does hand it off to Jacob Smith. Smith picks his way for a few, still on his feet, finally swarmed and taken down at the 28-yard line. 1:40 on the clock, 1:39 it just ticks to, and Lovejoy calls timeout. From here, it would be a 45-yard field goal.
Looks like Harbour's at least coming up, but it looks like they're calling it timeout.
Lovejoy called their final timeout here. So the Leopards out of timeouts, 1:39 to play. And now the question is, do you run Will Harbour out there to kick a 45-yard field goal, or do you run your punter Ryan Jones out on the field and punt the ball away and try and pin Lovejoy as deep as possible?
I mean, I'm not down there on the sideline, but I'm certainly a little bit preferential to the idea of trying to pin them deep, because if you give them the ball on the 35, that makes it a whole lot easier.
Or do you perhaps try to go for it here? Jones is out on the field, but he is the long snapper as well, so it will be a 45-yard field goal attempt for Will Harbour to make it an 8-point game. Out of the hold, on its way, Will Harbour, no good, missed it wide right.
He had the leg on that.
Definitely had enough, but misses it wide to the right. So here comes RW Rucker and company once again. $1:32 on the clock. No timeouts, down 5.
And Rucker's done a lot of good things tonight, but he's also thrown 2 picks, and you got to think that he's very interested in coming out here and erasing all that from memory and winning a very, very important district game for his ball club.
2 teams battling in the District 7-5A Division II standings. Both teams with 1 loss, trying to keep it from being 2. Rucker thrown to the right side, complete 1st down. Reed Westervelt out across the 40-yard line. And a good start to the drive, 1:26 on the clock. Again, no timeouts for Lovejoy. They used all 3 there on that offensive possession for Reedy to get the football back. 59 yards from a lead-taking score. Rucker with a 4 wide receiver set. Nadeau, the back in the backfield with him. At a shotgun. Has a clean pocket, throws over the middle, complete. Only a pickup of about 4 as he hits Leighton Archer.
And again, with just rushing the 4 in the front, I mean, and them getting pressure throughout the game, that allows a certain amount of latitude for Reedy to play a lot of guys in the defensive backfield, but be able to.
A lot of time going off the clock right now as Lovejoy is having some confusion here with their offensive set. Finally, they've got the correct 11 on the field. 19 seconds went off the clock in the interim. 50 seconds to play now. Rucker finally gets the snap. Looking deep on the left-hand side. Now flush to the right-hand side. Pressure in his face, and he has to throw it away. 38 seconds on the clock.
That was probably not what you wanted as far as...
That was a disaster.
So much time
from a substitution perspective, in the final minute of a football game, that was a disaster for the Lovejoy offense. 20 full seconds came off the clock trying to figure out what personnel they needed on the field. Hugely important time that they now no longer have to utilize as they're still 55 yards away from a lead-taking score. 38 seconds to play. Rucker rolls to the right-hand side, has a clean pocket, steps up, he's going to run for it now. Close to a first down, he's got it. Across midfield and close to the 45, they'll call it the 46, and a fresh set of downs as they set the clock. As they set the chains, clock stops. Now it's back winding, 26 and moving. Rucker clocks it, 23 to play.
I mean, you got to be impressed by what Rucker did there. Looked like he was going to get brought down about a yard or two short of the first down, but he just lowered his shoulder and ran right through the defense because he knew he needed to stop the clock there. Looks like he's going to be stopped there, but look at that. Just keeps his feet churning. Got a defender dragging on him.
What's maybe most impressive to me, that was Will Harbour, that he just lowered his shoulder and went right through to get the first down. Harbour was standing there right at the sticks and didn't have the benefit of a 10-yard head start as Rucker did, and he was able to run through him. So 2nd down and 10 now. Rucker looking deep down the right sideline, trying for Reed Westervelt. He caught it inside the 10-yard line. 15 seconds to play. Rucker to Westervelt. Lovejoy in business, 1st and goal. The official stopping play for an injury as the corner up that right sideline, Cam Hardy, came up a little bit gimpy, but what a throw and catch. RW Rucker up the sideline to Reed Westervelt, and with now 9 seconds to play, some confusion here. I think they're going to try and they should probably reset the clock here. There was 15 on the clock. The officials stopped play because of the injury to Cam Hardy. That clock should go back to 15 seconds, I would believe. I mean, that's a full play. That's the difference of being able to run 2 plays or 3 plays here down inside the 10-yard line.
No, absolutely. I think that's what they're hopefully trying to get figured out down there, but
our lead official, Smith Holder, coming to the near sideline and talking with Reedy head coach Chad Cole.
That was an exceptionally impressive job from Reed Westervelt of getting separation on the defensive back, and RW Rucker being able to find his man. That was a great throw. That couldn't have, I mean, they could have scored, but otherwise couldn't have gone much better. And actually, it's probably good that we're about to end this because I just saw some...
And they will indeed put the clock back to 15 seconds.
I don't know if you noticed that, Mike, but I saw some lightning.
Don't even say the word. Don't even alert a soul to what you just said. I say that in jest. Obviously, safety is the most important thing, and all of these schools do have lightning spotting technology. They all have the same different systems where they know if there's a lightning strike within 30 miles, they are alerted to it immediately, and they will stop the game. So if that did happen to be within 30 miles, whatever you just saw, then we'll see that, you know.
It looked like about 32 or 33.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, here we go with 1st and goal for the Lovejoy offense. From the 7-yard line, 15 seconds to play. Rucker in shotgun. 4 wide receiver set. Noah Nadeau, the back in the backfield with him. 15 seconds to play. Rucker looks to the right-hand side. Has a man. Complete. Touchdown. Lovejoy with the lead. Reed Westervelt in the end zone. with 10 seconds to play.
That's his second score of the game, and he scored about in the same fashion that he did on the first time. Did a good job on the comeback in the end zone. Got some separation. Even with the defender yanking his jersey, he managed to stay, keep both feet on, look the ball in, make the catch. That's incredible.
Lovejoy goes in front with 10 seconds on the clock. Reed Westervelt caught the deep ball down the right sideline to put him inside the 10-yard line, and then a 7-yard touchdown catch to give him the lead, and now they'll go for 2 here to try and take a 3-point lead with 10 seconds left. Rucker flush to the right-hand side, has a man on his back, and probably very smartly just goes down. That was a smart play from RW Rucker. You definitely do not want any sort of turnover there because that ball can be returned for 2 points for Frisco Reedy, which would very obviously win the football game for the Lions if they were able to accomplish that. So smart play from RW Rucker. Realized he didn't have anything. Just go down and make sure that nothing happens there that you don't want to happen if you're Lucas Lovejoy. But what a drive from the Leopards offense. Down the football field they go. RW Rucker to Reed Westervelt up the right sideline to get inside the 10-yard line. And then with 10 seconds on the clock in the fourth quarter, Rucker to Westervelt for the touchdown in the right corner. And it's 20-19 Leopards.
And it couldn't have gone, these last 2 minutes couldn't have gone much better for the Lovejoy Leopards. Their defense coming up with a huge stop, using all 3 of those timeouts. The field goal is missed, and then they're able to move it down the field. Obviously, some tough spots for Lovejoy and Rucker in the passing game, but they did a heck of a job there.
So what do you do here if you're Tyler Loop? He's certainly got the leg to just kick it through the end zone. That's probably the smart play here, but we'll see if they do anything out of the ordinary. Kind of pops it up in the air, and it goes out of bounds. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Apparently it is. You see those flags blowing. They're blowing to the
but that's
south. I mean, they could have caught it a little bit. I'm sure he wasn't intentionally trying to do that.
I mean, I suppose to a certain extent, you do not want a return in any way, shape, or form in that situation. So if you're not certain that you can kick it out of the back of the end zone because of the wind, perhaps he did kick it out of bounds intentionally. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, it is Frisco Reedy football, 10 seconds on the clock at their own 35-yard line.
No timeouts. Maybe 2 plays here?
Probably 2 plays max, and you're probably not within range to try and throw a Hail Mary just yet. That would be a 70-yard throw in the air for the 6'4 junior Jalen Kitna. Kitna has to throw it out of bounds on the near side. Good pressure right in his face with Lovejoy's Marco Dieterle. Beg your pardon, Tyler Beetleman. So 5 seconds to play.
Now you almost have to. It's either a Hail Mary or a hook and ladder.
Yeah, again, I mean, you're talking about throwing the football 70 yards in the air. There are few NFL quarterbacks that have the arm necessary to throw the ball that far downfield. A.J. Padgett, the backup quarterback, just ran out on the field as well. He's standing on the near side, back behind the formation. You wonder, are they going to lateral the ball to him if necessary? Kitna does exactly that. So now Padgett's going to try and throw it 70 yards in the air. It's not going to get to the end zone, but can they do something with it? No. Out of bounds goes Jacob Smith after he makes the catch, and that is the football game. Lucas Lovejoy driving down the field for a game-winning touchdown with 10 seconds to play. And they knock off Reedy 20-19.
And Mike, this game matched every single one of our expectations. I was maybe expecting a few more points scored, but these were 2 very competitive teams on paper, super competitive out there on the field, and you know, it came down to one of the players that we mentioned at the beginning of the game, RW Rucker. He fought through some costly turnovers, but was able to take his team down the field when it counted.
Tell you what, that's the story of the football game right there. The mercurial nature of RW Rucker's night. The 2 interceptions, one of them going for a pick 6. They had a 14-7 lead midway through the second quarter, looked great at that point. The turnovers factored heavily in the fact that Frisco Reedy was able to come back and take the lead in this football game, 19-14 in the fourth quarter. They took the lead because of the pick six. They added to the lead because of some other miscues that Lucas Lovejoy had made. And despite all of that, with a $1:32 on the clock in the fourth quarter with no timeouts, down the field marches the Lovejoy Leopards offense. Big play down the right sideline from Rucker to Westervelt to get inside the 10, and then on 1st and goal from the 7, Rucker to Westervelt, 7-yard touchdown pass, Lovejoy in front, and that ends up being the final margin, 20-19.
Yeah, the Rucker-Westervelt connection, that was dynamic. Westervelt had 6 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's a great game. He has now 10 touchdowns on the year in 6 games. As far as from your wide receiver, that's incredible production. But again, I mean, Rucker was making plays with his feet. He was making, good throws. He was a gamer. I mean, he did what it took for his team to win, even though his stat line may not be exactly what he wanted. No one's going to remember that. People are going to remember this huge win that takes them to 3-1 in district. And that's where you want to be with, only 4 games left. One of them is against still undefeated Frisco.
I was going to say, this win puts Lovejoy now in the driver's seat in District 7-5A Division 2 because the team everybody's chasing is Frisco Reedy.
Right.
Lovejoy's still got a game against Reedy out in front of them.
Right.
That's their final game of the regular season on the 8th of November. They play at Frisco High. And that game very well might be for a district championship. 2 very, very good football teams that so far this season are a combined 7-1 in district play. And look at the celebration still going on with these Lovejoy players, the cheerleaders, the student section, everybody over there making their way toward the buses. This game got moved up by an hour and a half because of thunder and lightning, or at least the threat of thunder and lightning. So many different variables at work in this football game. And again, the up and down nature of this game for some of the star players in this game, certainly RW Rucker paramount among them. Mm-hmm. For all of this to end with a touchdown pass for Rucker to Westervelt with 10 seconds to play to take the lead by 1 point, you can't ask for a better football game than what we just saw.
You really can't. I mean, the ending was fantastic. There was a lot on the line. We're starting to get down to where, we got those last 4, 3, 2, 1 games that really matter in the district playoff chase. Now, again, Frisco Reedy's a good team. If I was a gambling man, I would say Frisco Reedy is definitely going to make the postseason.
I would think so.
If you ask me that, is probably not 2 words that a sportscaster should use about anything. But anyway, I think they have a pretty good chance. But yeah, as you said, this puts Lovejoy in a very good position as far as potentially winning a district title because they have only 1 district loss and they went out. They're where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Their 1 loss in district play came in another sensational football game, 59-51 against Denton Braswell in triple overtime. So they've played some pretty good football teams, this Lucas Lovejoy team, over the course of the season. Some very close, some very exciting football games. Lost to Colleyville Heritage 13-10 in their opener. Played a 7-point game against Sulphur Springs the next week. So these guys are used to exciting football games, and they gave us another one tonight with this 20-19 win over Frisco Reedy to move to now 4-2 on the year, 3-1 in District 7-5A. Meanwhile, Frisco Reedy now falls to 4-3, 3-2 in District 7-5A Division 2. So still very much in the mix, like you say, still very likely a playoff team. You look at Reedy's schedule the rest of the way. They have another tough one against Denton Braswell a week from tonight. They've got Lebanon Trail after that, and they've got Princeton after that. Those final 2 games of the season, games they should win, which you would theoretically consider, that would put them then at 5 wins in district play. 5-3 if they were to lose to Braswell. That I think that's probably their worst case scenario. That probably gets you into the postseason. Yeah. And I think they certainly have the potential to beat Braswell. I'm not saying that you should chalk that up as a loss. I'm just saying that's probably their worst case scenario. So yes, still probably a playoff season for Frisco Reedy, but a Lucas Lovejoy team that came in here tonight was focused on getting a little bit of revenge for what happened last year. A 51-0 loss, a game that was a matchup of 2 undefeated football teams in Lovejoy and Reedy a year ago this time. Reedy came in and played outstanding football. Their head coach, Chad Cole, said to us earlier, he said that was our coming out party. Mm-hmm. We played really, really well that night. Just kind of everything went right for us, and they won that game 51-0. You can bet for sure Lucas Lovejoy remembered that football game and came out here wanting to exact a little bit of revenge for that. And for them to do it the way that they just did it, with a touchdown in the final 10 seconds of the football game, pretty special moment for these kids.
And you know what one of the best parts is? They get an extra day to enjoy it since they played this one on a Thursday. just an incredibly gutty win, and yeah, you got to tip your caps to Coach Ford and the Leopards. I mean, both teams came and were ready to play, and it was it was a thriller to the end.
No doubt. 20-19 the final score. Let's take a quick look at the stat sheet, if you don't mind. I'm going to slide over here, Taylor, because you've got a better stat system than I do right now, and you guys don't need to stay on us at this point from a camera perspective, if you don't mind. RW Rucker finishes 12 of 27. 192 yards and 2 touchdowns, did have the 2 interceptions, but what was important was he threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, and those 3 scores were enough. 18 carries for 64 yards on the ground for Rucker, 18 carries, 54 yards for Noah Nadeau. Those 2 lead the way from a rushing perspective for Lovejoy. Reed Westervelt, 6 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns, as Taylor, you mentioned a little bit ago. Nadeau with 38 receiving yards, Leighton Archer, 3 catches for 35 yards, and Luke Mayfield, 2 catches for 21 yards for Lovejoy in the passing game. For Reedy in the passing game, Kitna 8 for 16, 140 yards on the night. Will Harbour and A.J. Padgett both had completions on the day. Harbour on that trick play, and then Padgett on the final play of the game on the Hail Mary. Jacob Smith, 12 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown for Reedy to lead the way on the ground. And 3 catches for 105 yards for Jacob Smith, led the way in the air as well. Zion Washington, 2 catches for 64 yards. Jalen Fuchsa, 3 catches for 51 yards. But when it's all said and done, 19 first downs for Lovejoy carry the day, only 12 for Reedy, and a 20-19 win. An impressive showing from really both of these defenses for most of the night. But in that final minute, what Lovejoy did driving down the football field was incredible.
No, and yeah, that. What can you say? That's just a team who knows how to play in tough situations, and I'm sure, especially after taking the triple overtime loss to Braswell, here a couple weeks back, I'm sure they were eager to reverse the fortune in terms of last second games. But yeah, you talked about the defenses. I was impressed with how both the defensive fronts did. They didn't really allow either quarterback to get in a true rhythm.
Yeah.
So much of this game ended up revolving around the run game, which, given the RW Rucker's a very talented quarterback, as is Jalen Kitna, I was surprised there wasn't a little more of an aerial show. But both of the defenses did a very good job, not letting things get out of control offensively.
When it's all said and done, a 20-19 win for Lucas Lovejoy. 3 total touchdowns for RW Rucker, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground, and the final one, a touchdown pass to Reed Westervelt with 10 seconds to play to give Lovejoy a 20-19 lead and ultimately the win, as Lovejoy moves to 3-1 in district play, 4-2 overall on the 2019 season. Our thanks to the athletic directors for tonight's game, Lovejoy's Jim Bob Puckett, and from Frisco ISD, David Kirkendall. And a shout out to both coaches as well for being so generous with their time and information about their 2 teams. Without their help and support, this broadcast is not possible. We also want to thank our sponsors this evening, Texas Health Resources. Our engineers are Don Hazen and Dode Bigley. Our photographer is Ian Gordon. Our director is Raul Garcia. Our digital coordinator back in Dallas is Nick Blackhall, and our executive producer is Sean Hamilton. For Taylor Williamson here with me in the booth, I'm Mike Leslie. Thanks so much for watching tonight on Thursday Night Lights. Your final score one last time, Lovejoy 20, Reedy 19, as Lovejoy moves to 3-1 in District 7-5A Division II. We will see you next week on a special Friday night as we take a tour of the tap scene. Bishop Lynch faces Parish Episcopal, and we've got the game on Friday night at 7 o'clock right here on the WFAA Digital Network. We hope to see you then. For now, so long from Frisco, everyone. We'll see you next week.